Good morning and welcome back, Exiles, for the final of our set of 3 Act 3 Doryani kill race events. It is time for some more PoE Sports, and I could not be more exciting. It's been a very exciting set of 3 races, and I'm joined here once again by RaizQT. Raiz, how you doing this morning?
What's up, Ziggy? What's up, everybody? Pretty excited for this one, the finale of our 3-part series, I suppose. It's been pretty great so far. It's really cool to see PoE racing scene evolve in real time for PoE 2.
Yeah, I anticipated it right from the very first race that we would have just utter chaos that first week, and then things would get refined and changed and evolved so quickly over the course of just 3 weeks. And that has definitely been the case. We've gone from finishes of like top finishes on classes to being around 5 hours to being down under 3 hours consistently, with lots of expectations of sub 2.5 hours finishes for a lot of people today as well for this race. So it's going to be a big one. There's a lot of storylines that have been beginning to evolve, and it's the finale of these 3 races, and that means there is an extra special prize up for grabs. The overall winner this time around, will it be Angormus as it has been the previous 2 times, or will someone else be taking the crown? And there is a special extra prize, a Path of Exile themed laptop up for grabs with their partner Alienware. So pretty cool little extra prize, but also the mega bragging rights of being the overall winner. And Angormus wants to sweep it. He's been challenging anyone to try and take that off him and prevent that from happening, but so far it has not. But there's been, I've seen from practices, he's been getting sub 220, and at least 2 other people have been getting sub 220 as well. So he's a little bit worried about ZIGGYD, which hadn't been streaming until this week. For the first time, we're actually going to be able to see behind the scenes our secret racer who did win last week. So on the Witch. So we're going to be checking that out. We're going to jump over to the races now, as things will be beginning in just a moment.
Yeah, and Angormus even turned on a webcam, so you know that he's taking things seriously. He is definitely going in on this one. And then, of course, we've got ZIGGYD on the top right. We've got Alex Pleblord, who is showing as offline, but is not offline as the race is already beginning. If we can hit a refresh, I think, overall on these streams, it would help a lot. Everybody would be able to see everything. And then we've got Sarge in the bottom right, our top monk. I shouldn't say contender, mostly the winner, right? He's won monk both times, as this is a class-specific race.
That's right. So the top of each class wins themselves a Demigod, an eternal trophy that will be very rare. There'll only be a few dozen of them in total ever. And if it's anything like Path of Exile, one's Demigods, which were actually far less rare, there was a lot more of them, but some of the rarer ones in particular are highly coveted little things to have on one's account. But got a cool little piece of gaming history there. And
I think these are I think these are also named, which is pretty unusual. That hasn't really been a thing since a very long time in PoE 1. Some of those signature races way back in the season, more seasonal events, and then also in the month-long events, which hasn't happened in a while. So a pretty big deal, I think.
We have Angormus in the top left with the classic Miller position right against the wall there to prevent the zombies from attacking, and just utilizing well-timed blocks or dot roll in places as needed, but with optimal potion usage, barely even needed here, just with the old swing, down and finish him off with the rolling slam. Very nice, clean finish there. And a ring off of the boss there. It rolled increased cast speed, so not all that useful, unfortunately, but a little bit of
class.
Yeah, not quite. Shame it wasn't for one of our witch players. That would have been a pretty nice get right there. We're going to have a little trouble reading the modifiers on Shoutcast's client, but we'll do our best to try and guess what we're seeing there.
Might be a little bit tough. And maybe also if you guys are showing up for the first event for you, this is not a hardcore race. It's a softcore race with a 1-minute death penalty for our players. So do keep that in mind. Dying is always costly, but you might be seeing a lot of going back to checkpoints. And also it's a fixed seed race, which means that all the players will have the same layout, which makes for, I think, pretty enjoyable watch every time, because you see the most experienced players make all of the same technically mistakes, because you're always assessing which way you're going to go on a probability basis. And so you're more likely to go to the right. Another good player is more likely to go to the right. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you're all making the correct call there. It might just be to the left. And yeah, layout reading is going to be a huge factor here as we zoom in on Angormus's gameplay, who is stacking up those minions on top of Beira, trying to make that fight as easy as possible by exploding them with the Bone Zone.
That was exceptionally well done on both packs of wolves so far, with pretty much optimal bone zones for massive damage on Beira for a very nice, smooth kill, and picked themselves up an insanely good two-handed weapon there with 47 IPD. Increased physical damage for a big old two-handed weapon. So they'll have themselves that weapon swap lined up. They actually have to be a little careful, and we notice he's not equipping it just yet, and that actually maybe because it's too much damage, that is literally a problem. Whereas if you one-shot enemies, you can't use Bone Shatter afterwards.
Yep.
Or if you indeed do too much damage and stun them on that first hit, you also can't use Bone Shatter. And Bone Shatter is just so essential for stacking damage on the bosses and also getting that nice extra AoE clear. So there's specifically times where the warriors won't use a weapon if it's too good for a while, but it's still always a good thing to have for a little bit later on when you do want that extra damage. Oh, yeah, what is going on? Shoutcast? I'm just getting pushed around by those wolves. He's getting chased out of here, having a lot of difficulties with that wolf pack there. But uses the quick checkpoint to reposition. Actually, that was so fast and smooth, that little checkpoint refresh there. Love to see that little escape. Quite narrow.
And a lot of players, a lot of viewers might be noticing that we're looking at different classes, as this is a class-specific race, but we will be switching over to different players depending on their ladder standings. We do have access to those, but this is a Act 3 Doryani kill race. So even though you might have access to the ladder, you might be looking at it and thinking, oh, they should be showing that player, he's higher level. That doesn't necessarily mean that they're further ahead in progression, as a lot of the end game of this race is a pretty mad dash towards the finish line, with sometimes even being 10 levels under the zone, as we are seeing some of the first Devourer takedowns now from Angormus leading the charge on that warrior, trying to secure the #1 overall, and not just the #1 warrior, as ZIGGYD again dropping pretty low, a pretty hectic playstyle. But I mean, as long as the HP is above 0, it's all right. Is Sarge dead? Why is there the Sarge is totally dead?
If we see yes, we have had our first death, not like just 5 minutes into the race, which does mean Sarge is now forced to stand still for an entire minute, which means, of course, that they get brutally cut from the stream and replaced with someone else. So
nice.
Bye, Sarge. We'll see you later, hopefully, mate, if you can keep up. It's certainly possible to come back from an early death, but it does hurt and sting just a little bit. Oh, I like that block from Alex Pleblord, who is joining us now on stream there as well. So actually, 2 of Angormus's recognized top threats, ZIGGYD and Alex Pleblord, he said those are the 2 that he's worried about the most, as those are the 2 that have had sub 220 practice times, which is Angormus's best times as well, although he's feeling pretty confident from asking him yesterday, because he's been consistently getting sub 220 now. And there's a few new tricks up the players' sleeves that we might see people take advantage of. I'm excited to see and reveal some of those as we go a little bit further into the race.
Yeah, and for somebody who might have been watching the very first race only, you might be thinking that witches aren't as powerful as warriors in this environment. There's no way that a witch can ever beat an Angormus. But I think a lot of players are noticing that witch is a lot more unexplored, and even sorcerers too, casters in general, are a lot more unexplored and definitely capable of getting some pretty good times in. As also in the bottom left, we switch over to Fifus, who is a ranger, utilizing a variety of different skills. I think I see Essence Drain, or is that Contagion? I see a mace weapon swap. There's Lightning Rod, I believe, Frost Bomb. These are the lengths that the players have to go through on some of the weaker classes to get a nice time as they level. Oh, what a clutch level up, and almost still dies immediately after. I believe that was intended. That was pretty clean.
He needed that level up. It was calculated. That's been practiced. That was
pretty calculated.
Yeah, that was exactly the timing you needed that level up.
Almost needed 2 there.
Twice over. Yeah. Yes. Needed back-to-back level ups to survive that situation almost. But yes, we do see the Rangers utilizing quite the host of skills, even from different classes, with Frostbomb being a popular pick on a few of the different classes, actually. We see them on Rangers and on Demon Hunters. On the
Uh-huh.
mercenaries as well. Uh-huh.
Demon Hunters, I see it, Ziggy. Okay.
I was thinking Witch Hunter in my mind.
Yeah, I mean, considering the flurry of abilities that we've been seeing from different mercenary players, honestly, Ziggy, I can't blame you. We've seen mercenaries playing maces, playing
Yes.
lightning rod, playing orb of storms.
Uh-huh,
We've seen them
uh-huh.
play grenades. I mean, it really does get crazy out there. The strategies aren't quite figured out just yet.
Yes, and as to the comments on Witch's competitiveness, we did see them like just a little bit behind, kind of clawing at the backs of the Warriors, but things have gotten a lot more close. And I saw a clip yesterday.
Hmm.
It was rather spicy of a guy that dies on a witch, one-shotting the boss in Buried Shrines with Bone Storm using the Hourglass support. So that's a support that adds like a giant cooldown, but a ton of damage. And then channeling that support,
Mm.
just one-shotting them while they're in the dialogue. You don't even see the boss's health bar. So there's some insane
Wow.
bossing
Okay.
potential there. And I'm looking forward to hopefully seeing that in this race because that's kind of some new tech that's been explored recently. So we're going to see that and some other new pieces of technology and techniques coming in this race as well.
Sounds good. Sounds exciting. As some of our first players, Angormus and Fifus, are picking up the lead up quest items for the Rusking, the first really dangerous boss. I mean, the Devourer can be sketchy for newer players, but these guys are all experienced. Most of the time, the threat is going to be coming from the white mobs and then only very specific bosses. And Rusking, with that one shot potential, is definitely one of those that can deliver a lot of pain to our players' timers here.
And that's it. We'll see the boss coming up for Angormus as well here very soon. The cool thing about this one for the warrior is, of course, that they can group those ads on the Rust King in order to hit a massive bone shatter if it positions well. And we'll see if Angormus
Mm-hmm.
is able to pull something like that off in just a moment. Alex Purple are just starting their Red Val, so about half a zone behind at this point. But Fife is not
Surprising.
too far behind, actually.
I gotta say, Alex tends to be the player who puts in the most work out of almost anybody in the PoE community. So for him to struggle this early on like this, there might have even been a potential rip somewhere in there. As Angormus already begins his Rusking, and you can see, yeah, it's a tough boss if it hits you. But if they get stunned, if that Bone Zone comes out, there's an ad spam. Again, if you're watching in the top left, as long as you're not getting hit by that big barrage of blades, Gormus is making quick work, and he's going to be picking up a lot of these items here. Grade the drops. Our players are definitely focusing a lot in Act 1 on itemization because there's quite a significant amount of RNG when it comes to
Ooh.
these early stages of the game. And for the strength boots, I believe, a
I
little
saw
bit more
some move
HP.
speed boots for Angormus there. 10% move
Oh, they
speed
were
boost.
movement speed.
Yeah, scored himself that in addition to some nice weapons, picking up a pretty good amount of gear overall. Angormus with a decent Rust King kill, but he was having to multitask a lot during that fight. He swapped about 3 or 4 gems and 4 items during the course of that fight, whilst simultaneously
Right.
nailing the bone shatters. So looked a little panicked, like he's maybe like playing catch up on his item management, but at the same time pulling it off anyway, which you love to
Yeah.
see.
Yeah, you're always looking to save yourself as much time as possible, kind of like in an RTS, front loading a lot of your actions and queuing them up. And a lot of that boils down to just really good inventory management when it comes to racing because, yeah, you can save yourself a lot of time. And especially Fifus is one of those players that we've seen kind of struggle with their inventory management, but
Yeah.
making up for it with mechanical prowess. So hopefully, with enough practice, they've made big improvements and it's really going to show today as the Ranger run so far is going pretty well for them. I gotta say, looking good.
Yeah, I did chat to Fifus after that race because they did struggle with inventory management so much during that last race. Like they were doing such an excellent time, but lost so many minutes in town sorting gear. And they were telling me just kind of like some of the levels that you have to go to hit. Oh, Angormus with an early death there. His eyes wide in
Uh
shock. I
oh.
don't think we've seen a death like that for Angormus before. He's had kind of like unfortunate accidents on bosses a couple times, maybe 2 deaths in the 3 races, but
The
now just
nerves.
one to a pack there while heading through the Grim Tangle.
Ooh.
Got to be
And
a
he
little bit
sits
rattled by that.
back. You can see he closes his eyes, collects himself. I mean, Yeah, the pressure. It's not always easy to be first. It tends to
That's
be
it.
easier and with less pressure whenever you're second, and you just gotta get first in the very end. But if you're leading the charge from the beginning, those nerves can really get to you. And yeah, it's gonna make a big difference for Angormus, who must be tremendously disappointed, as so far, yeah, we haven't really seen him die in such an early stage of a race. I believe we've seen him die once and at the end of Act 2 while farming blue mobs in the Dreadnought in the first race, which
That's
was
right. Yeah.
probably the earliest that we've seen him die.
Yeah. And the other one was the boss, the Chimera boss in Act 2 in the first race as well. A bit of an upset there. Oh, do we have a repeat clip here? I saw
Mm-hmm.
some. Was there some explosions going off here? So kind of is getting suppressed pretty low here. Goes to pick up the linen belt and dies to
Oh,
the after effect explosions.
the
The loot
greed.
bait. He got the belt though.
13 mana? I don't think that's worth a minute of his time.
No, probably not. The Wario rarely struggles with mana, especially. They're so incredibly mana efficient. So that's
I
probably
am I
not
am
worth it.
I am semi joking, right? Because yeah, as much as the warrior doesn't struggle, we've seen a lot of these classes entirely switch up the way that they progress with their abilities based off of mana. For instance, for the mercenary, as we've discussed before, I think a big part of the reason why the grenadier playstyle has fallen out of grace is
Mm,
because it just costs way too much mana.
so
We've seen some
expensive.
of that on the ranger setups as well when it comes to the lightning rod, that the boss tends to move around a lot, and it's a setup that really benefits from enemies standing still, and you just end up running out of mana. A little bit of that is also the ZDPS coming out of witches, but I feel like players have gotten a lot better at resource management, and we've seen some clutch and pretty fun kills last week. So hopefully these are going to be making a return here for both ZIGGYD and Guy That Dies, that I'm sure we're going to be showing at some point in the race too.
I love the like tiny dodge rolls in place. I feel like I say this every week, but especially on the warrior players having to stay in melee, they're efficient dodge rolls just like without even moving away from the boss. Just so that rock comes slamming towards Angormus, and most of us would roll across the screen. You know, maybe like 2-3 dodge rolls away just to be safe. And it
Four,
last
five.
second, a little half dodge roll. Yeah, exactly right. Little half dodge roll doesn't even like interrupt the flow of the attacks and is back into it and just utilizing those immunity frames to completely avoid that damage. It's like how you can do that. I love some of the
Couple more
optimized
dodge rolls
physical
after.
gameplay. Yeah. You
Couple
you just
more
to
for good
just
measure,
to,
just to be sure. You know, the
yeah,
boss is
just to
dead,
shake
but
the
like,
nerves out.
what if he blows up or something? This is POE
we
we're talking
did
about.
we did see that last week with someone dying to that boss
Oh
running through
yeah.
it after the fact with the explosions afterwards. So it can happen. You do have to watch out for those big fungal explosives there, as such too is having to navigate right now. But I love the optimally positioned monk gameplay there, doing just always blowing me away with how much damage they end up doing as well once they get that like
Yeah.
positioning down and get themselves a decent weapon. Sarge dealing a
We've
lot of
got
damage
Guy
there.
That Dies. We've got Guy That Dies in the bottom left now, who is ahead of ZIGGYD by a pretty significant margin. Again, we are going to be seeing these differences in the early stages of the game. You might be noticing some resolution issues on Guy That Dies stream. There is no ultra widescreen gameplay going on or anything like that. It's just his Twitch setting, as I do believe that he uses a ultra wide monitor, which kind of results in some awkwardness when it comes to the Twitch streaming, but doing extremely well. With a pretty difficult setup to utilize that essence drain. The delayed damage coming out of it tends to get you blocked in by mobs,
Yeah.
and that's really when you're at your most vulnerable. But expertly done by Guy That Dies. I don't think we've seen any rips so far, and pretty good RNG when it comes to the cemetery, because it tends to be kind of difficult to find the entrances to some of these tombs over here that we're going to be seeing. Also, some of the more challenging bosses of Act 1, if our players end up making some mistakes, but probably not Guy That Dies. He's pretty efficient at the Act 1 running.
Alex Plebble with a very clean ambush kill there, moving into that little bottleneck. Of course, we do see players take on a lot of these optional side quests and exploration special encounters here
Mm-hmm.
for the bonus gems a lot of the time. The idea is to get an extra skill gem or an extra support gem to be able to fill out the essential toolkit that they have planned. And many of the players even try and plan around getting one random drop in addition to that, if not more. Having to
Oh,
go for a bit of
Alex.
reset there, though, for Alex. Just resettling those mobs and that health pool. as they
Okay,
did get
okay.
kind of a little bit blocked in, but it's not much of a run back as the checkpoint was right there. So a time save in the end, especially avoiding a death.
Wow, what a nasty choke here for Alex. I mean, that's really difficult to get past. You've got that blocking mob that prevents him from really utilizing his abilities, as you got to get close for that shield to go away. Otherwise, with any form of projectile that Alex doesn't have, you're dealing damage to yourself. So a little bit of run back needed there, but not too expensive, as Ziggy has mentioned. And we've got Guy that dies fighting Asina now, trying to maximize their damage with those archers. A pretty difficult setup to utilize. You got to position the boss, make sure she's not moving, drop a giant caustic arrow from those archers that are now dead, and getting caught in that bone cage, moves away. But yeah, you have to kind of set up the caustic arrow and blow it up with a pretty tiny AoE, so it takes some pretty precise movement. And then on top of it, you're always micromanaging the HP of your summons, which, you know, when your summons are dead, just like you're not doing any damage, you're not getting any XP.
I'd like to point out the difference between the two witch plays as well. We have Guy that dies utilizing the flame wall and no
Mm.
frostbomb, and ZIGGYD on the other hand using the frostbomb, which they're using in that ambushing counter right now as well. So the flame wall obviously offering a little bit more projectile damage there, but the frostbomb offering the opportunity to freeze, chill, and that burst damage. So interesting to see the players favor the two different setups.
Yeah, indeed, very interesting. As we've got Angormus beginning his fight, and this is going to be the first warrior fight. As actually Alex Pleblord is right next to him, so despite that 1 minute penalty,
Ooh.
Angormus has managed to just barely stay ahead. Potentially, we're not quite sure about the cemetery layout read so far, but the fight looking pretty clean. Getting that big stun, both players trying to plan around that as much as possible, utilizing their HP as a resource, making sure that they've always got enough to face tank as much as possible, just so they're able to hit. And Angormus taking down his fight with Alex Pleblord pretty much with an identical speed kill.
Yeah, not much difference in that one there. And we do see the players now both having already grabbed the checkpoint for their mausoleum heading in there at the same time as well. So it could not be closer between these two with pretty optimal cemetery clear for both of them. There's a bit of nuance in how they approach the cemetery, grabbing those checkpoints and in which order they do. Actually refined down over the course of many practices based on like, hey, I've noticed that this one consistently has better pack size and experience
Oh, and
gains.
look, you've got the exact same thing that I was talking about before. You can see both of the players, Angormus and Alex, going into that little room in the bottom right and immediately recognizing, hey, we're making a mistake. It's time to go to the left. And yeah, with your most experienced players, they're going to be making the same mistakes, but they're also going to be making the same fixes. And it's really cool to see it in real time there.
Yeah, when they both realize at the same time, make the same level of mistake while they realize. It's like who can kind of realize what's going on just maybe a second before the other person. It comes down to that a lot of the time, yeah. With how close some of these races have been, of course, with week one, with the historic finish where we had two of our players, one of which was Xiaoge here, finish with the exact same time down to the second. So
Yeah.
it can those literal 1 second differences can make a difference, as evidenced by that previous finish.
Yeah, but currently, Guy that dies, the person who did end up claiming that demi for the witch, I believe in our first race, is ahead with a much cleaner Draven
Yeah.
kill. Moves on now to Lachlan, another pretty dangerous fight for our players. It's kind of challenging because there are some abilities that you can get one shot by in this fight, but most importantly, you're always looking to position yourself to avoid those pesky slows. There's a lot of chill, there's a lot of stuns going on, and if you're not positioned quite right, you might get hit by a giant slam that will absolutely take you out. So you can see Guy that dies kiting around the pillar, keeping the boss moving. This is not something that we're going to be seeing as much from the Warriors, but when it comes to the Witch, yeah, you're trying to get a good rotation going, maximize your damage, utilize those skeletons, and he gets the clear with some pretty juicy drops. Does not pick up the ring, avoids the extra animation that he would have to go through in the town, as Alex and Angormus. Alex a little bit ahead. That slightly better read on the Draven
Yeah.
layout gets him a pretty clean kill. Wow, that was much cleaner than Angormus. Is really Alex able to get as much damage out as possible during that stun. And you can see Angormus, yeah, he has to
Got the
move.
stomp.
The chill is there.
Yeah, he got what he didn't want, which was you really don't want Lachlan to have that stomp if you can get the kill fast enough. And just with a little bit of
Right.
luck, he doesn't use that stomp ability, which does force you away, as you just cannot be standing on that ice ground. It is too brutal. So Angormus losing a bit of time there to Alex Pureblord, having to wait for the loot to drop as well. Picks up a nice flask at least in recompense for their extra time spent. But Alex Pureblord, the first to move into the hunting ground between our two warriors here. Of course, though, with ZIGGYD and RaizQT leading a little bit even more so on the zone there. We're pretty close.
Yeah, you can see players respecting the flask pickups a lot more, you know, in the first week and then maybe even in the second one. I've seen some players run past flasks. Oh, no, it's not worth it to run back for a flask because, you know, that extra 3 seconds might make all the difference in the end. And we've seen players really do some very challenging fights with very weak flasks. And yeah, they're resulting in a fight that's already challenging being probably pretty impossible. So you can see a lot more focus on the
Ghost
flasks
Rive.
because
So,
oh
yeah, Alex Pureblord just picked up a Ghost Rive. I don't know if that was something that we'll be planning on
that's
using, but
interesting.
it's a pretty high-end leveling item right there, but maybe not one that you would be too excited about in a race.
I mean, I would imagine on the Witch Infernalist setup, that would be a pretty crazy item, as a lot of times you're going to be utilizing that energy shield to really keep you
Yeah,
alive.
I actually wonder how that affects, because they practice so much like the timings with their health pools and stuff. Based normally, I don't know if it affects their like their resource management on the witch. It'd be interesting to see if a witch did utilize something like a ghost wrath. But with Angormus,
cool.
with Alex Pureblord being our other warrior, we're unlikely to see any ghost wrath action out of them. So I don't think it would
Yeah.
be to their advantage.
Yeah, we did see was it a Fox Shade last week?
Yeah, we did. It was I believe the Fifers picked up the Fox Shade during their inventory
Yeah.
nightmare. They did I saw an exalted and a regal orb off the same boss for Fifers just now. I feel like that's Fifers' blessing and curse. They get so much loot, and yet they also have to do the most loot management out of anyone, and also kind of struggle.
Hold up. Guy that dies actually found.
Wait, another one?
Yeah. But this is he gonna use this? I mean, it is tricky because your total HP decreases, which means that yeah, your flask management is gonna be that much more difficult with that demon form. But I mean, we haven't really seen Guy die all that much, right? As long as you've got
No.
enough energy
Yeah.
shield, it's fine. So you might be reducing your damage potentially to increase your defenses that doesn't really provide anything if you're not dying anyway. It's gonna be interesting.
There is, yeah, sometimes even like an item that is technically strong, it just may not be worth to use it if it kind of messes with your plans, if it's not something you've practiced with. Because you don't really like
Yeah.
practice your training runs around like getting some rare drop, right? So it'd be interesting to see if they hang on to it, if they end up utilizing it in any way. I'm not expecting it, honestly, but we will see. We will see.
Yeah, it's one of those tricky things. I mean, we know the legend of the Tabulast Tai killer.
I didn't want to say it.
Sometimes you know you get a little bit too much RNG and it ends
Yeah.
up just throwing you off that much more, and it makes for a otherwise easy race much more challenging. So I gotta say, a guy that dies definitely showcased a lot of shocked by typing out a lengthy WTF in caps lock in the chat when he got that drop. So I don't think he's very familiar with how he should approach such a significant drop in a run such as this one.
Well, it's just too rare. You don't practice. I mean, I would normally say it's rare, but we literally see 2 players on screen finding ghost rides. Is there going to be more? Are we just going to get all of the ghost rides? Hard to say.
I just say indeed. I hope so. Well, why not?
It's
Go
like
crazy in this
those
last one.
chance shards with the disenchants.
We switch over to Mostly Works, another player who has done really well last week, being, I believe, the rank 1 sorceress, really
Yes.
showcasing some strategies that have never been seen before, as many players were kind of bashing sorceress for the punity, her weakness. I don't know if punity is the word, but very, very small time when it
That
comes
is
to the runs.
a
but
word, yes.
no, yeah, wait, hold on, I'm googling right now. Did I say something naughty? Unity.
Yes.
Punishment. No, that's not the word. Okay. I mean, maybe, if you really think about
roll
it,
with it,
maybe.
roll with it. But yes, Sork kind of considered to be the bottom class, the biggest struggle class, but nonetheless, most of the works did get a around 3 hour finished previously with it, and we can only assume that they'll be sub 3 hours this week if their practice has borne any fruits for them. So we'll be keen to see how the Sorks stack up this time. It's the Sork, the Sorceress, and the Mercenary who struggle the most, with them being the only classes to finish above 3 hours last week, with everyone else getting below 3 hours. But only just. So I assume we'll be seeing some pretty fast finishes from them this week. And how much can they kind of narrow the gap between them and the other classes, I wonder?
Well, considering in the first week the sorcerer's time was 4 hours and 30 minutes, the second week it was 3 hours. I'm expecting a 1 hour and 50 and 30-minute time for mostly works here. So really get on that. You should be out of Act 1 by now.
Yes, I assume it continues on in a linear fashion. So week 4 would hypothetically be like a 10-minute 3-act finish, which is going to be really impressive to see actually how many just pull that off. It's a lot of very taxing on the gamer's wrists, I hear.
Yeah, and another thing that's very taxing on our players is going to be the Freyhorn zone that Guide That Dice has already entered. Not only taxing because the mobs are extremely dangerous, those rituals tend to kind of, kick your ass, let's be real here, but also the layout is really, I know, driving some of our players crazy. It tends to be very frustrating to navigate through, as Guy That Dice tries to skip as many mobs as possible because you're going to be doing plenty of killing in the next upcoming zones. You don't want to be over leveling. You really are. Oh my goodness, that is a lot of mobs, and he's having to do a lot of rolls. The essence drain is chaining. No. Nicely executed by Guy That Dies. Well done. But yeah, you're always trying to thread that thin line when it comes to min-maxing your XP. Yeah, having more XP is good. Your character's slightly stronger. But if you're getting that XP in the incorrect zone, maybe you're just killing too many mobs for not enough XP. And that's going to end up costing you precious time that our players can't really afford to lose in a prestigious event such as this one.
Yeah, there's so much XP-based optimization that's gone into these runs over the course of the last 3 weeks, especially with players really refining down when and where they get XP very specifically, and what levels they get, and why, like hitting level 12 at this certain zone allows you to do this. And with Angormus even saying that, like, hitting this exact level 1 level higher than previously by changing the order I do these zones in means that I get one specific different node on the boss, which means I kill them in 2 less hits. It's like stuff like that.
Yep.
So we get some hyper optimized experience chasing here.
Every little bit adds up.
Yeah, but you can never really predict exactly how many packs you run into, whether you find an objective a little bit early, if the layout's a bit shorter than usual. All of this stuff makes a difference.
What am I looking at? Why is Alex putting his skills so far down, Ziggy? What's going on here?
Putting his skills down in the menu?
Yeah, in his menu, he's having to scroll multiple times to get to the bottom of that bracket there just to put his skills in, and it really throws him off when it comes to this layout read.
The theory would be that later on he has to do some under fire skill management, which is much easier for those to be at the top with the latest skills. So maybe some skills later on.
Right.
But yeah, we got. I mean, it could also just be that like all the weapon swap skills just getting placed at the top of the menu. So there's not much you can do about that, unfortunately.
Yes, we do have a bunch of bosses going on. We've got Guy That Dies fighting the king over here of the Mist, the Executioner, going on for both Alex and Angormus, who have been really running neck and neck. Sarge, not quite there yet, not fighting a boss right now, but it's a monk, so it's going to be going a little bit slower. But we're going to be seeing some serious bossing from our monks very soon as Alex drops low.
Yeah, taking some big hits, just struggling to finish that fight off. All of the ads are there, waiting for the Bone Shatter, which Angormus cleans up, clearly allowing to actually catch up a bit there. He started that fight a bit behind, and Uncut Support Gem and Artificer's Orb definitely going to be tempting for Angormus to go back and pick those ones up. And yeah, both players had optimally positioned fight, but Alex getting a nice big whack to the face, forcing him away, losing himself about 5 seconds while he repositioned, allowing Angormus to kind of take the lead there as he heads into the manor ramparts now.
And a difference in approach. Look at this. Alex opting to go back to town, trying to find a weapon for themselves as Angormus pushes on through those ramparts, and you could also see that Angormus was the first person to enter the ramparts as well, which Alex most likely knows about, that he's just barely behind. But this quick trip to town, hopefully it was worthwhile. I do see that he's picked up a weapon, but is this going to be enough? I mean,
his second weapon, his two-handed mace, had nothing going on, and
right.
funnily enough, I think he just augmented the damage on it that he needed in the end after buying that other weapon. Isn't that classic? So he's using that for now, but he does have another weapon lined up. But yeah, Angormus on the other hand he's had back-to-back good two-handers, so a little bit more gear luck there for Angormus. Although we have seen the warrior players say that ultimately the weapons don't make too much difference for them, and they've been able to get pretty consistent times with like the barest bare minimum. But part of these fishing vendors and stuff is part of that strategy to ensure they do reach a bare minimum. But obviously that does lose a few seconds.
Yeah, and you could just see on Sarge's screen picking up the smithing tools. That is something that tends to mitigate RNG pretty significantly, as our players are going to be focusing on some of the vendoring to pick up those socketed items, allowing themselves to socket their most likely endgame weapons with that double socket, and potentially an iron rune if they manage to find two of them, to maximize their physical output as much as possible. But we've got Alex trying to make it through these ramparts. I mean, these zones are really stressful for our players. Both the ramparts and the manor itself can be not just challenging because of the bosses, but yeah, those mobs. Oh, what a nice pop from Alex. That was juicy.
Ooh, delicious. Yeah, Alex getting a little bit. Oh, he didn't quite go low, but he was in that position where I was like, I knew that next like heartbeat was him dying if he didn't kind of move the exact right way, which of course he did because this guy's a professional. But me, I would have been like, yeah, I would have stepped the wrong direction, got stunned there, and died. So I'm glad to see that wasn't the case for them. A little bit of Sarge 2 Executioner gameplay here. And
here we go.
Let's see how we're looking on the mark.
How's this single target?
I think we just saw a nice staff. We got our bells going now. The double bell action. Looking pretty good with a nice executioner stun down below half there. Getting the next combo and the second round of bell placement as they ring those double bells. Bong bong. And the executioner's dead. That is the death toll for them.
Nice. A little bit of late bell drop, I gotta say, for Sarge. Unusual.
Always
he was struggling a little bit with... Oh, I got it. I mean, Sarge is my boy, you know. This is one of the main people that I've been following when it comes to PoE racing. It's always been cool to watch the evolution of his play. He's somebody who started off as, you know, a little bit of a chat memer, but then really kicked into gears eventually, and with enough time and effort, really the Rock Lee of the Path of Exile community, he's been showing that he can be a top contender. So seeing him do well always brings a smile to my face, but also, you know, I got to criticize my boy a little bit here. You know, I'm looking out for him, right? He can watch this back and be like, oh, yeah, you know what? I could have saved a second there.
We're seeing some unusual strategies for Sarge here. Oh, what have we got here? We got ourselves a clip, haven't we? This is our executioner kill for our witch here. Oh my lord, I did not see that. Thank you, production. We missed that one.
Yeah.
Oh no.
And how did we do so?
Oh,
that was explosive.
Executioner living up to their name. You know, I feel like that might be... Oh, and I think we've had maybe one other executioner death before, but it is surprisingly rare given their name. But that was absolutely brutal. Oh my lord. That hurt me physically to see.
And I gotta say, Guy that dies looking a little bit shaky here. And an unorthodox situation, maybe the thought of that Ghost Wraith, it is equipped. It's right there. Is throwing him off. I mean, we tend to talk about the player's damage, but anybody ever ask about the boss's damage? They tend to have a lot of DPS too. And yeah, Guy that dies suffers a 1 minute penalty there, despite the Ghost Wraith that so far hasn't improved his defenses significantally enough.
It is,
but he is using it, so interesting.
Yeah. I like to see it. At 97 health, you know, makes me a little nervous, but they just don't have the way to recover that energy shield exactly. But as long as they feel, I mean, they're obviously feeling confident enough to use it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
So
This early on, you also just don't have access to that scaling, right? So yeah, technically you are improving it with a little bit of scaling, but it's not just significant enough to make that big of a difference as ZIGGYD is entering the manor themselves. Again, this is our other witch contender. And I don't think there was a penalty here, so looking pretty good.
Rise, I have to bring something up. Our
Okay.
warriors didn't do Fraythorn. So previously, Wind Dancer has been essential to their strategy, especially getting through waterways in Act 3. Having that Spirit
Right.
and Wind Dancer active just gave them so much space to be able to get through those really dangerous zones, waterways especially, by having that knockback to knock the enemies back. But of course, doing the Fraythorn side area is a big time cost. It's quite a few minutes to go in ahead and
Huge.
do that. So this is the first time our warriors, I believe, have not done the Fraythorn. And I kind of pride myself on my research, my sleuthing, and my excessive note taking about all this.
Of course.
And I feel a little bit shocked that I don't know about this and that none of them told me about this. What is going on with that? I do know something though. Angormus is telling me that he's changed strategies to use Leap Slam as his triggering skill past level 22. And I'm thinking that probably has something to do with it. So using Leap Slam to stun packs, followed up with Bone Shatter, maybe we see a complete change of strategy for the later parts of Act 3 where Leap Slam Bone Shatter through waterways rather than that like kind of mad dash and trying not to get killed that they've done previously. And maybe that change means that they don't need Wind Dancer anymore, saving them the time to go do Fraythorn. So this is like a huge tech change
This
and
is very
strategy
different.
change from last week and potentially saving them many minutes if they can pull it off. The problem was they just couldn't survive before. They would die. They died
Yeah.
several times in waterways trying to do this. But I think now with this new like Leap Slam tech that they seem to be embracing, oh man. But anyway, we'll see later about that. And we do see the first of the perfect strikes going down for Angormus, perfectly timed with some very, very good
Oh
back-to-back
my
first
God.
3 perfect strikes. And a fourth one just for good measure. He's just going to keep going.
What is
Why
he
not?
doing?
Why not? He's just having a little smile. I think he's just playing with Count Junor a little bit here. Of course, we know that he doesn't need to do any more damage to the boss at this point. Most players just choose to run around safely, but Angormus looking so confident that he's not even running away from the boss. He's just staying on top of him, even though he doesn't need to. He can just run around the arena right now, but actually opting to just deal some extra damage just for fun to insult the boss. Absolute confidence on display. Perfect timing on that next perfect strike there. Back to back once again. Positions, get the knockdown before
No
any of the
way.
blasts come down. The boss is not even getting back up onto their feet yet.
No
They
ad
don't even on the
face.
pedal, they don't even get it off. 0 ad phases. Actually, the most perfect Count Junor kill I think we've ever seen. Oh my.
I don't think anybody even came remotely close to a Junor kill like that. And like you mentioned, so much confidence. I mean, you tend to want to stick close to these bosses, but he really didn't need to deal half of this damage to Count Junor in much of this encounter, but he opted to do so just for the memes. And wow, that display of confidence after that early death, I mean, it's got to feel good, you know? It's showing that he hasn't gotten shaky. He knows what he's doing. And will we be seeing a similar approach from Alex Pleblord, who now has fallen pretty significantly behind by comparison? They were really neck and neck before, with Alex pulling ahead, but with that Count Junor kill, I wonder if Alex is going to be able to keep up. Doesn't get the perfect strike,
Huge.
but
That was a huge crit, though.
that was a big crit,
was a
and that's
single
enough,
shot.
by the
That
way.
was actually a one shot. Like the second perfect strike he did was not even necessary. The ignite would have taken him down below the threshold. You only have to get the boss to halfway to move on to the next phase. And Alex Blood with the crit just one shotting. Completely unnecessary overkill, but you love to see it nonetheless. Here's a more typical approach of kind of running around playing it safe here. Not quite that confident display we've seen, but it'll be interesting to see if that second phase goes just as well for Alex as it did for Angormus. It's hard to imagine that being the case, but let's see. Too early on the perfect strike, but oh no, and that causes his second one to be mistimed. We go immediately into a meteor strike from Dianor, costing him even more time as he has to reposition for the frost breath there. Going for the howl.
No.
He's going to get... No, the ad phase. Oh, the stun was right there. It was so close.
That was so close. I don't know if he wasn't delaying it a little bit on purpose to just extend that animation before, but yeah, it ends up costing him a lot of time here as this ad phase, you really can't do anything. You're trying to survive. Those mobs, they are a little bit tricky for some of our players. You can see a lot of kiting going on as whenever these ads die, they freeze up for a little bit and then blow up with a pretty significant amount of cold damage, with a mixture of physical in there too, I do believe. So unfortunately for Alex, this is not going to be the perfect run in the same way.
Oh, even
A
more
lot of
repositioning.
dodging going
Yeah,
on,
yep.
really not having an
Oh,
opportunity to attack.
Come on,
There we
go.
go.
Okay, there we go. Does get the kill down, but yeah, that initial mistimed perfect strike cost him a potential one cycle kill, and having to go through that ad phase cost him even more time. So allowing Angormus meanwhile in the background to basically complete the Vasteria outskirts. He's almost to the boss at this point. So a fair lead gained from that little upset and that perfect boss kill from Angormus. So just beautiful. Oh, I love to see it. I'd love to just see displays of sheer perfection like that.
And Angormus heading over to a boss that we discussed pretty massively last week with
Yes.
potentially some exploits going on,
Yeah,
as Ziggy
we'll
was
see if we
talking
see any of that.
about, but we didn't quite see it. Everybody was
No,
very
no one was
honorable
the
last
exploit.
week.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Mhm.
this is okay. Nicely rolled out. Angormus getting a little bit
Beautiful roll.
stuck. They're potentially getting hit by that fourth really deadly attack. And right as the
Bone
boss is
shatter.
going to slam,
Amazing.
Angormus blasting with a massive stun. Beautiful
Oh,
display here from
so
Angormus.
nice.
He
Ooh.
knows the amount of
Epic.
damage that he can take there. Tanks it on purpose. Will he be waiting for the loot and cleaning out the ads, or no portal put up?
Only
So
one wisdom scroll
has to
for
use
his
the
weight.
checkpoint.
Yeah, unfortunate.
Yeah.
I like that little shield charge into the back roll to bait the ads into attacking, because otherwise they get stuck on the wall. It's just a nice little bit of tech there. Jog
Yep.
going into their GNL fight now as well on the Witch was a bit of a different. It's a bit of a different one. Nearly always an ad phase for the Witch. They just don't have that burst damage to be able to get this boss down as fast as the Warriors can at this point. Later on, they get it. Oh, trust me. Later on, they get it. But not
Or
yet.
any damage for that, as far as we're concerned. I mean, this is really one of the slowest classes, and the big part of the reason for this is because they don't really have access to their big damage dealer, which is going to be ascending to the Infernalist form and going Demon Mama, which
I'd
is,
also,
yeah,
I'd also like to
you
point
just
out
can't do
another
it this early.
change too. Candlemass, no kill for Candlemass on the Warriors now as well. That was something
I saw that.
we saw in the past, where while waiting for Count Genor's loot to drop, they would go kill Candlemass, having previously grabbed the checkpoint, but completely skipped. So what we're seeing now is the hyper optimization of like, what is the actual bare minimum I need? Do I need Wind Dancer? Do I need that extra hit points? Maybe I don't. I can save 30 seconds if I don't go get that. So now we're seeing that in week 3 that the players are growing in confidence, and boy, are we seeing some confidence there. Crazy to see
Yeah,
the
but
change just since last week.
confidence tends to be a slow and insidious killer, you know? So, yeah, as much as these runs have looked great in
Tell you about that.
practice, yeah, and the real race, can you really afford that 1 minute penalty if you already had one in Act 1, like Angormus did? Unfortunately, ad phase, but I mean, this is bound to happen for our witches. We might be even seeing 2 ad phases for our witch players and just about every other player. I mean, there are some interesting strategies that we were talking about before with some of our other class players, such as Ranger, utilizing the melee warrior skills, but nonetheless, nobody's really got the output of a warrior, and also as controlled of a stun, maybe other than mercenaries. But the problem with mercenaries is that even though they have a very controlled stun, they don't have a very controlled amount of damage, so
No,
they'll
yeah.
most likely going to be a pretty lengthy kill here
Yeah,
from
even
both Zhao Ji.
lengthier, as Zhao does miss that initial Frostbomb placement, miss timing. There's an optimal timing you can get that Frostbomb down as they
Right.
return from the ad phase, which can allow you to get that nice early freeze off potentially, but a bit delayed there, making this next phase go on a bit longer. Meteor Strike, which they do not dodge, costing them a fast charge,
Ooh.
but yeah, a little spicy. Not too bad if they can manage to avoid all of this comfortably, but they're not really keeping the damage up, forced to dodge roll a couple times there. Ideally, they want to keep attacking while just repositioning slightly, but not quite managing to pull it off. But nonetheless, getting the kill here in the end and moving themselves on to Act 2.
Yeah, and as much as Zhao Ji made this fight look simple, it is really challenging for a witch because if any of those AoE abilities hit you, you tend to become immediately frozen. And with enough RNG, there's a short follow up with another animation, you just end up dying. So, really well done. Not a whole lot of damage, but this is mostly what we're expecting from our players. Yeah, sometimes you're going to be lucky with potentially some plus levels on your weapons, but I don't believe that is the case for Zhao Ji. So, he might have to spend a little bit extra time later on looking for actually, no, never mind. On a witch, you wouldn't really be looking for a weapon, so you wouldn't be going back. Something that sorcerer struggles with a lot because you really do need those plus levels, preferably from Act 1. And if you don't get it, you end up spending a lot of time in town looking for a weapon that allows you to later on have that powerful switch to the Frostwall ability that will be the majority of their damage output. But on a witch, you go Infernalist, you go Demon Mama, your weapon becomes disabled. No RNG needed, which makes for a pretty consistent run, and I think a much easier practice time as Alex Pleblord. Oh, wait, Angorm?
Yeah, he's
Hold
going
on.
back for Crowbell now. So he must have missed Crowbell earlier. Usually we see that just a bit after doing the like the village, Ogum Village, but Angormus actually coming back now after getting started on Act 2 and finishing the first Act 2 boss. Coming back and doing this quick Crowbell fight. I actually get punched and stunned there, interrupting them, but do get that kill off otherwise. Some rare boots, possibly some move speed.
Interesting.
Are they going to Freythorn now? Or it was just Crowbell. Okay, I was just like, wait, are they going back for Freythorn? I was like wondering.
I was wondering.
Really fast Freythorn, but no, it's just the Crowbell. Those extra passives are really important, so it makes sense to continue getting those. But I hadn't noticed that he hadn't picked that one up earlier, so we're seeing like really weird, different orders of some of these like side quests and boss kills here. Angormus has his bossing boots. Oh, I love the bossing boots.
Nice.
A pair of non-movement speed boots with good like life and resistances will be kept in the inventory to hot swap in for boss fights when those movement speed is not needed, as the warriors are not really moving in the boss fights too much typically.
Yeah, and I was really wondering how come Alex fell so far behind, but I guess that was really the big difference that Angormus went for that Crowbell skip, which is 2 passive points. Pretty significant as we've got Sarge, the first player that we've seen so far, taking down Candlemass after
The
his
bells. almost one bell kill, manages to finish it
Nice.
off. The second bell kind of being unnecessary there. But the giga damage from the monk, once again. The monks with the highest damage overall that we've seen. The perfect strikes are obscene, but then the bells, and you think that can't get any higher than that, but then the bells end up being just so far beyond that in terms of damage. But we have seen monks struggled with being a bit squishy and having some other time costs and difficulties in other areas, but single target is not where they struggle, I'll tell you that.
Absolutely. As we switch over to Donkatsu in the bottom
He's on
left, the
Twitch
big...
now. Yeah,
He is. This is Twitch. Let's go.
Yeah.
Do some funky
So
production work
good.
with YouTube
Good work,
streaming.
production
But there we
team.
go.
Yes. Thank you for Donkatsu and Xiaoge for both streaming on Twitch this week so that we could commentate them. Donkatsu previously being YouTube only streamer and Xiaoge not being a streamer at all, but just getting the stream together just to showcase their run since they've been getting some attention on these races. But Donkatsu, we did see just steal the win out from underneath Flyfus just by a minute. By surprise.
Yep.
Caught us all by surprise. We thought they were 20 minutes behind. All of a sudden, we're watching Flyfus fight the boss. Wait, Donkatsu just won. We missed it. We caught the end of it. I went back and edited it into the video for YouTube if you didn't see week 2 Raise. Go back and watch it because their kill was amazing. Their reaction was amazing. They were like crying tears of joy afterwards, thanking their audience. It was so emotional and beautiful. I loved it.
Awesome.
I love to see that win. And Donkatsu becoming a bit of a crowd favorite after last week's efforts. And now we have them on stream as well. So very cool to see.
You love to see it. A very emotional player in all the right ways. You know, typically a descriptor of an emotional gamer doesn't bring good memories, but when it comes to Donkatsu, he's got all the good elements of that. As we've got Guy That Dies fighting Wrathbreaker. Ooh, this is gonna be challenging. The energy shield is dropping and has to dodge that final attack, as it most likely would have one-shot him.
Only
so
100
a lot of movement
from
Wrathbreaker. Decent too. Oh, some decent going on. Wait a minute. He doesn't wait for the loot. Nothing. Respawn a checkpoint?
Doesn't care. Too often is the Wrathbreaker loot just absolutely garbage. So just not even worrying about it and just starting to leave. Yeah, I like it too. Not having to wait around for all those ads and everything.
Yeah, considering how much time. I mean, Angormus wasted like maybe even 10 seconds. Not only waiting for the loot, but then having to checkpoint and having to put down the portal. I mean, it really didn't look clean for Guy That Dies. The second that boss goes down, the millisecond he does, he goes for the checkpoint and saves himself precious time there as our players are now heading on over to one of the funnier parts. I mean, I'm saying our players, but it's really Alex and Angormus in the lead, heading over to the fire dynamite, the blow up boom boom lady, as we call it in the racing community.
Yeah, as we call it, yes. Presenting
yes,
you
we all call it
Okay.
that.
Moving
It's
into the fire
official.
boom boom lady, which can indeed, if things go wrong, make you feel a little boom boom. Rudia, the dread engineer, in case you're wondering. If you don't follow the exclusive racing community lingo, which Rise is a master of. So Angormus goes for the back-to-back perfect strikes, actually missing one as she rolls out of the position there. And she does throw those grenades down, but Angormus is not worried. Oh, that beautiful perfect strike. Big finish there. There might even been a crit on that last one.
Was it Angormus?
Nice.
Wait, wasn't it Angormus last week that just ate the entire flamethrower and instantly died?
Who? Yeah, who was that? I do remember someone just eating a
think it was
face full of
Angormus.
flamethrower. Just right in the mouth.
Yeah,
Incinerated from the inside out.
Clean
Boom Boom
now,
Lady.
and Alex doing the same thing to the Boom Boom Lady, as Ziggy is officially
Hits.
called there. Yes.
Yes, me. Oh, misses that other
Little
one, but
dodge.
just finishes off with a little regular attack there. Love to see it. Good job. Nicely done.
Great adjustment. That looked really cool.
Meanwhile, Donkatsu getting a nice clean Wrathbreaker kill down in the bottom there. Donkatsu and Firefist are our top contenders for the Ranger, which doesn't keep up too closely with the Warriors and the Witches. Those are the top classes for the overall win and the most competitive. But Ranger kind of in the middle of the pack there. But the fight for Ranger between Donkatsu and Firefist is very tight, as those two have had very close finishes in all of the races. And they're going to be both pushing real hard today. So we'll be keeping an eye on them and seeing who's kind of winning the Ranger race amongst those two. And maybe you have a favorite that you're cheering on, and get in chat, let them know, let them hear about it.
I'm looking at Donkatsu's bow and I'm trying to figure out what the hell it's saying. I mean, he's scrolling over it. He seems to like it a lot. He kept it in his inventory. He scrolled over it multiple times.
It's got
I
a single line of
see any percentages on it. I mean, what is it saying? I see a 4.
Is there?
It's got a 4.
40. Is it a 40?
It might be a 48 IPD. I mean,
because yes,
it's one line.
Assume it's just got a fat IPD roll on it, and they're just like nodding.
He's smiling. He likes it. I mean, that's good news. That's good news for our Donkatsu player here. As Angormus, you can see him in the Trader's Passage, but a different pathing that we're going to be seeing from some of our Witch players, as I don't believe we're going to be seeing any other ascending other than for the Infernalists. So Angormus is just trying to get through the Trader's Passage as quickly as possible, not having to do the Balbala fight. That tends to be a very annoying and time-consuming encounter. But Angormus still really maximizing his XP in this zone here. Very good zone for XP. These mobs tend to give a lot of damage. There is a little bit of time that you have to wait for some of these mobs to show up, which is worth it in the end, I think, as you can see, because, yeah, you tend to get that much more XP from these mobs compared to the other ones. But running into a little bit of a dead end here for Angormus. Oh, actually, wait, never mind. He's farming. Wow.
He hit up the gold. So there's this encounter with like a bunch of gold piles on the ground that has a chest there, and he got the support gem from that. He utilized the quick checkpoint for the reset. So just picking up those extra support gems just to make sure he has everything settled in and ready to go for his level 22 Leap Slam to Bone Shatter swap. So previously, if you've missed the previous races, the strategy for the Warriors has been to use Rolling Slam's first strike with an animation cancel into Bone Shatter to stun packs and do massive AoE damage. But we've seen a bit of a strategy change, a bit of a tactics change here, where they can start using Leap Slam after level 22 in order to prepare the packs for the Bone Shatter follow-up, which is something that myself and many other players have used in leveling, but the races have managed to optimize that nicely. And the real key is the fact that they do manual weapon swaps for that. So we might be seeing a bit of that later, because they want to be able to use, when they want to do a damage Leap Slam, they manually weapon swap to the two-hander. When they want to do a traveling Leap Slam, they manually weapon swap to the one-hander. because they have completely different
Right.
skill trees, with the two-hander skill tree having all of the nodes that have reduced attack speed on them that many players
Mhm.
hate, but they have 50% increased physical damage on them, okay? So
They're kind
that's
of
one of the
good.
nodes, yeah. And Angormus wants to hit literally exactly level 23 for like the Titan boss and the Duo boss later in this act, so that he gets that node just before the bosses, because it's like 2 to 3 less hits per boss to finish them off. So
Yeah, there are those. There is a caster equivalent in a way. There are those gloves that give you 100% spell damage, I believe, but they give you reduced cast speed. And I think most players wouldn't really enjoy that. It makes for a much more unenjoyable playstyle. But I know that some of our caster friends have been frothing at the mouth thinking about it, how they could maybe get it in a real run such as this one, because yeah, it's going to save them a ton of time for sure, even though it is a little bit slower when it comes to the animation side of things.
we did see a big reset to checkpoint for Angormus there, but unfortunately, that checkpoint was really far back, and the misdirection was kind of like just behind where they started. It was pretty much as worst checkpoints as you could hope for there, but
Yeah.
does manage to pick that correct layout read in the end after making a rather large error. I didn't see if Alex hit the same one. He did, but he chose to run back, which
Yeah.
actually is probably faster than the checkpoint reset there. So they both hit that. Like you were saying earlier, they both hit that same mistake in the layout, where it was an unusual layout compared to what they practiced.
But I mean, I gotta say that's an indicator of the honorable play coming out from our players. As you know, everybody's streaming here. Technically, you know, it's a fixed seed. If you're behind, you can just look at the person's stream and see their layout, right? But not happening here. I think we've had a pretty interchangeable situation with sometimes Alex and sometimes Angormus being ahead, and neither of the players seem to be taking an advantage of that and checking out the other person's stream. So
I feel
pretty cool
like
stuff.
stream sniping like that's pure pleb behavior, and Alex Pleb is not an Alex
Mm.
Pleb, he's an Alex Pleb Lord, so he's not going to
Oh,
resort to such things. You see where I'm going with this?
I see it. Okay. So you're calling Angormus a pleb. I see. Okay.
No, he's leading. He can't stream snipe. He's just stream snipe himself.
I mean, he's lording over him. Angormus wasn't leading the whole way through, you know?
True. Alex Pleblord has caught up a bit here now after that little layout error from Angormus, and Alex with the slightly faster read on it, managing to catch up just a little bit here. And while Angormus was a full zone ahead earlier, now it's only a little section of this zone. Although Alex is losing a lot of time on this pack here, he just can't get that stun proc. He's just not able to get the bone shatter off.
Oh
None
my
of
goodness,
them are
so
ready.
awkward.
Oh, it just keeps.
What is happening? There we go. Finally.
I would be crying.
That was
Literal
so
tears.
awkward.
Tears would be streaming, like the pure secondhand social embarrassment I'm getting right now for that little interaction there. I was like, ooh, seeing someone get like shot down, asking someone out in public or something like that. But oh man, or like seeing someone else like trying to walk down the left side of the path, and the other person goes to the same direction, and they do it like 5 times where they try and get around each other. Oof. Oh, it was like that.
Ziggy bringing up our traumatic experience from ExileCon multiple years ago. I see it's stuck with you, Ziggy. Talking from personal experience over here, but we do have 5 fists in the bottom left. Again, working on their inventory. We can take a look how that's looking for them right now, as this is the player that we were mentioning was struggling a little bit with their inventory management. I mean, definitely spending a pretty significant amount of time in town, but I gotta say the clicks are pretty precise, you know, utilizing that crafting bench to, or salvage bench, I should say. Guys, you didn't miss, there is no crafting bench in PoE2, you didn't miss it. The bad news, this is the salvage bench where our players are going to be getting sockets for their gear later on, or potentially even early if you get an abundance of those socket items. As Angormus fighting Jamanra. I mean, is this even a fight? This is a 3-shot.
Not for
It's
our
done.
top players here. We have seen some people struggle a little bit, but no. Our monks and our warriors can kind of get Damonra's first encounter down here in no time at all. So I'm refreshing the ladder and seeing that Angormus is actually 2 levels ahead of Alex Pleblord here, even though they're progression-wise pretty similar. So a slight divergence in strategies, maybe a little bit more optimal XP gathering. Hard to say. It could be that Alex Pleblord plans on kind of running a little bit leaner and then catching up at a later time. or it could be just a bit more optimization on the XP gathering for Angormus. So, but that little two level advantage could be kind of keeping him just ahead a little bit.
Right, yeah, that really, I mean, it's a pretty significant difference, I gotta say, especially at this stage of the game. We don't have that much more left of the race. We are at the 1 hour mark, but our players have been going faster and faster, and we're about halfway through Act 2. Not too many very dangerous bosses happening. And speaking of, we've got
So this one.
the boo boo boom bum
The boom
lady
boom
that's
lady.
getting
The
blasted
boom boom.
that by the bells.
The freeze plus the bells
Oh
just mean Rita
my.
does just nothing. It is obscene. But we
What
have
boss?
seen we saw some people some monks experimenting with 3 bells at one point, but it looks like the 2 bell
No.
optimization has kind of come together nicely. Yeah, we did some, but they just fumbled with mana every time. It was like you put the bells down, you don't have enough mana left to attack. So now
But
we're seeing a
3
much
is
more
better than
optimized looking
2.
monks. I know, right? Not when you can't hit them afterwards, unfortunately. But yeah,
More
now
is
we see
better.
much more optimized monk plays, and we get to see the full strength of that. Which the first week we were just like, oh man, this looks like it could be stronger. They just kept running out of mana, and they kept dying. They were too squishy. But now we're seeing monk like, as it's meant to be played, and very spicy.
Yeah,
So
I'm
just
looking at
using.
Alex's kill when it comes to Jamanra, and I gotta say, I think for the most part, the difference has been just optimizing the kill speed, not just on, well, we did see that one pesky pack for Alex that he just couldn't take out, but even when it comes to the
No.
bossing, his perfect strikes aren't quite as perfect as Angormus's. And it does make that big difference. I think the layout reads are on point, the inventory management is there, but Alex needs to work just a little bit more on his kill speed, something that was kind of interesting for PoE 1. You know, we used to have those descent champion races and whatnot where players really maximized their kill speed because there wasn't really anything else that they were capable of doing. So it was a good training grounds, but nothing like that exists for PoE 2 just
Oh,
yet.
I love that. That
So,
would be so fun to see in Path of Exile 2 in the future.
right?
If the devs get some time to make some of those custom race events like that. I think people would enjoy participating in those.
You know, some endless ledge. Maybe for PoE 2, it could be endless dreadnought. Oh, wait, that's already in the game. I hate that zone.
It's already in the game. Oh dear. Ruthless, right?
I
Ruthless.
hate that zone. And it's even worse because if you're racing, you have to farm it over and over with the checkpoint too. What a nightmare.
It's a nice efficient XP though we see in the Dreadnought farming, yeah, which we'll see a bit later. Okay, I have to talk about some new coming to your area right now, Rise. So the 3 zones, Keth, Boneyard, and Titan Valley, all have dynamic levels based on the number of bosses you've killed. Not many people even know that fact. But yeah, their levels change. So if you kill the boss in one, the levels of the others upgrade to kind of keep them up with your level, basically. But what that means is players are actually taking advantage of that now by specifically opening one of the zones or doing them in a specific order so that they can do like a low-level Titan kill and a low-level Boneyard duo kill to have like really fast,
Right.
really clean boss fights. So we're going to see like the fastest, safest Titan and Boneyard duo boss fights for players utilizing this new technique here. So basically, you can open a zone, you leave it up to lock in a low level, you go kill the bosses in the other zones, and you come back, and because that zone's still open, it can't change levels. Only a new instance would actually get that level change. So now we get to see just this
Oh.
kind of like new tech that's come up since last week. And while in theory that's like a little bit less XP, the actual splitting of the zones, Angormus was telling me, means that he gets 1 extra level before going and doing those boss fights, rather than if you did them kind of like one after each other.
Right.
Splitting them up, it's a bit like how in Act 2, Path of Exile 1, where the players would go left and right separately, kind of in phases to take advantage of zone levels. It's a bit like that. So they get a bit
It's
more
kind of like Act
efficient
4
XP.
more so, where you
True, true.
get the waypoint and then you don't kill either of the bosses. You instead run through the initial zone. Pretty cool stuff. Yeah. Yeah, but it's things like that that really evolved racing for PoE 1. And seeing that some of our players have access to this tech and know about it and some others don't, yeah, it's really going to showcase how much time our players are saving here. As so far progression has been pretty smooth, I gotta say. I'm hoping for some rips here. I mean, Alex Pleblord, we've seen some clean kills on this boss. You tend to want to position them quite a significant amount of RNG in a way that's going to allow you, the player, to
Oh my
perfect strike
lord.
both of them at the same
Oh
time.
god, he just couldn't get a single perfect strike off. The bosses just kept railing him. Oh no.
That's what I'm talking about.
Big
There we
double hit,
go. That
though.
was a big
That's what you
pump.
want. Yeah, making up for that early section of the boss fight there by having both bosses on top of each other and perfect striking through them. Very nice. That gets them low enough for some fairly clean finish here, potentially. Although not quite
Kinda
enough for a
early.
single perfect strike. Yeah, a little bit of an early kill. Oh, and misses on the stagger. No. The boss doing their stagger animation dodged the perfect
This is
strike.
getting weird now. The projectiles are coming out from the other boss.
Oh,
Okay, there we go.
the ignite
Alex
finishes it off.
gets it, but we've seen players get quite punished with an early necromancer kill, leading to those projectiles just doing so much damage, unexpectedly so.
Angormus just hit level 22. I see him. He's clicking the leap slim gem in his inventory. He's trying to get it set up. The game is trying to give him Cabal Clan relics. He's like, I don't care. There's like multiple Cabal Clan relics drop. I didn't even know that was possible.
You need more charm charges. Come on, what are you talking about? Pick this up.
Oh, yeah, he picked up some 15% movement speed boots at some point too. Very nice. In addition to the 10 he got earlier. So he's looking at that. He's looking at the leap slam. You see him swapping between the different zones now, placing the portal, kind of locking this in. So he actually wants to do Keth at the higher level. So he'll intentionally kind of like reset for getting more XP in Keth, with the objective of hitting level 23 before these Titan and Boneyard duo bosses, because it gets him specifically the Crushing Verdict node, which is the one that has reduced attack speed, but stun build up and 50% attack damage, which is like 20% more damage at this point. So pretty huge increase. And that specific extra level in this change of strategies is made for some pretty clean fights. So we're seeing like it's a bit hard to judge kind of who's in the lead here because they're doing things in different orders. We've actually seen a different order from Alex Cliblord compared to what Angormus is doing. So strategies are diverging a bit here, and I wonder who's going to kind of come out ahead. I wonder.
I'm looking at Alex's screen, and every time he kills a pack, he drops a relic. Very not like my gameplay. Every time I go to these zones, I can't ever drop these relics, and I tend to go back multiple times. Seeing 3 on his screen right now is kind of crazy here. But obviously, he doesn't want them.
Alex, don't miss the quest. It's right there.
Does he not know he needs the quest? This is a video game. Hello.
And now we see, of course, our witches, where another huge strategic divergence goes. The warriors do not ascend. The witches, however, absolutely do. They love that demon form. It is a huge boon for them in the last section of the race here. But it does cost them an entire run of the Trial of Sekhmet here. And how quick they can do that kind of makes a big difference into how worth it is to actually get that ascendancy. So they'll be hoping to hit the ritual rooms and not the trap room, which it's actually the time trial, which is not too bad depending on your single target. It can be as quick as 40 seconds, but it can also be as long as a minute if you aren't able to kill those rares, which I kind of suspect is the Unascended Witch. They're not really going to be killing the rares so well, so it's probably going to be a full minute. Ideally, you want the escape rooms and the ritual rooms, which are the fastest, and no gauntlets. That's usually what players will optimize for, rather than say like specific boons or afflictions, just the fastest rooms possible.
Kind of interesting play by Alex. He went into that small checkpoint room. Do you know if there's... I didn't think there's anything in particular there, but he went all the way into the back of the room. I wonder what I missed there.
Did he grab any? There is the like the captain leader in that area, I believe. Oh, checkpoint room. Oh, so there's a guaranteed amulet in the treasure room with the ambush. That's something new players have been working in. There's a some of these guaranteed exploration encounter drops are pretty subtle. Like you might not know that like one of the white chests in the vendor areas has like a pair of gloves, for example. But yeah, there's a treasure room in that area of Keth that does drop a guaranteed amulet, which it's actually pretty hard to get an amulet in a race. So guaranteed amulet's a nice boon, and we have seen players going for that now, especially because that's a pretty good zone anyway in terms of like loot and XP.
Yeah, I've seen players go for the ring, but yeah, this is pretty interesting as Alex approaches another boss, Kabbalah, for that extra 2 passive points. Very important stuff. And wow, what a clean fight so far. Gets the stun, and right as she's about to go into a little bit of an invulnerability phase. Oh no, she dodged! Get the bone shatter.
Matrix dodge, skipping the bone shatter there for Kabbalah. And he he doesn't land the perfect strike again. She goes into a spin. He's forced backwards, so he doesn't get exploded by the overlapping explosions there, and having a lot of trouble finishing off the Gabala fight there. Alex is just having no luck on some of these mob packs and bosses today, I'll tell you.
Right? I gotta say, but optimizing, I mean, I saw the same thing for that Act 1 boss. Optimizing with an additional auto attack, I think would have gotten him where he wanted the fight to be. So, yeah, a little bit of more work needed here for Alex's kills. But so far, despite that, he is keeping up pretty well with Angormus, only being slightly behind. But that XP lead that you were talking about earlier, Ziggy, I think that's going to make a pretty big difference as we're quite close to the finish of Act 2. And this is only an Act 3 race, guys, so we're not too far off with our players speeding up quite noticeably this week, I gotta say.
Seen the German Ra
Sarge.
fight, quote unquote, for Sarge the monk here, which of course is a single bell phase of the boss doing literally nothing. And then you just kind of have to wait for the animations to play. So, what a production of catching that, eye blink of a fight there. Honestly,
we appreciate the full screen. Well done, well done.
It's good to highlight just how some of the strengths there that they have. Jugga having not a lot of luck in their
Alex
having to do a gauntlet here, unfortunately, losing a bit of time to that.
Sorry, I'm just looking at Alex's juicy pops right now. Getting that big stature room and just going for a massive explosion, trying to catch up on XP. I'm sure he's aware about the XP difference, maybe questioning whether his approach is correct or not. Dodges the beetle that I'm sure everybody loves and appreciates after farming it for an entire month.
Degenerate hardcore solo self-found players, maybe. Farming the beetle on repeat.
Man, Alex is really getting stuck quite a lot here, though.
Yeah,
goes back, goes forth, runs back for the
level
flask.
22, which Angormus has been for some time. Angormus should be about level 23 now, I believe he is. And we did see him kind of splitting up those zones. This is, we do see Guy That Dies now with the demon form, so we'll start seeing lots of demon form action now. And I'm looking forward to some big one-shots down the line on some bosses with the new bone zone. What is it actually called? The bone channel. What's it? Bone Storm. That's the one. Bone Storm tech.
Everything's
down the line,
in the bone
maybe,
zone.
If you can see that, yeah. And now we see Angormus moving on to the bosses. He did split up the zones, doing the first section independently, hitting level 23 here for the extra damage node, prepping these bosses with a bit of damage on both, hopefully positioning them for some nice double perfect strikes if lucky. Not quite getting the bosses where they want them, but just having to separate the bone. We came close with that ignite. Actually calculated Iktab going down to like 2% HP as he works down Ekbab, and then that'll lead to a nice easy finish. The boss is stunned, so he can finish him off with another perfect strike. If he judges it, he does. He doesn't make that same mistake that we saw Alex make earlier. Judges the stagger animation perfectly and lands that perfect strike. Very nice kill for Angormus there. And of course, he gets an amulet. Did he go and do that amulet thing earlier? He didn't. He didn't actually have one. He got +1 projectile skills. Not exactly going to be super helpful for him. The range is fuming right now. even the witch is fuming. They would like that as well.
The rangers are also using maces, Ziggy. I don't know if anybody, but I mean, Woody Joe might be fuming. He might be the last. Oh no, he's mercenary anyway. But he's like the remaining projectile user.
Yeah. Look, we're seeing a lot of cross-bleeding strategies between different classes. I saw the monk using a bow in Act 1, so I don't even know what's going on anymore. I've been trying to keep up. I've been asking the races. I've been taking notes, but even then, it's too much. They're all using different class things all over the place. Except warriors. Warriors just be warriors. They're the only ones happy to be themselves, it seems.
Yeah, warriors bonk, which is unusual because, most people were pretty unhappy with the bonks. I mean, there is still a fair amount of auto attacking going on, but if your bonk is bonkalicious enough, then you're not really gonna need anything else. As Alex heading over to the baby balls that tends to die pretty quickly as players deal damage during the animation as the dialogue
before the health bar even comes
begins.
up. We'll see if the witches can one-shot this boss during the speech phase. If they do it right, they can even just not even see the health bar at all.
Interesting. He didn't even dodge that attack at all. He hit the stun just right.
Yeah,
Thanks.
pretty confident there. And for Zhao Ge, of course, we have the final boss, Rattle Cage, at the end. A pretty lucky placement of the cremations there from the boss, and a nice freeze leading to a pretty safe kill. It's a bit nicer than what we've seen with some of the like kind of ring around the rosy in the middle boss fights. Just a bit more straight up DPS, not too much time wasting, keeping the boss on those frost bombs and not having them move around too much. Only repositioning a bit more in the second phase of this fight when they're kind of forced to. Angormus, we see now unlocking the Leap Slam Bone Shatter tech. So we'll see weapon swapping to two-handers whenever they want to kill things. And kind of leap slamming in place. Not really what you want.
Slightly stuck.
Yep. Yeah, slightly stuck. Jago moving into the dangerous last section of the Rattle Cage fight. Their honor is looking good. Their health is looking good. We're not too worried. It just kind of forces them to move around a little bit more. They do eat some of that slam, though. That honor going down to 200. They don't want to eat too many more lava spills, or things might actually get a little bit scary. Of course, a lot of them stacking up here, but confident minimal movement. And Angormus moving to the Zalmarath Colossus fight. They did hit that level a little bit late, but they did get it in time for the Titan, getting that giant node. And of course, utilizing the tech where the boss doesn't know where they are, sitting in their blind spot, right below their rearview mirror. There is two spots in the Colossus fight. If you don't know, you can stand and the Colossus can't do anything to you. That is this spot here and the spot he was standing in earlier. Got that pretty much perfectly down, and you just see the boss just saying, I'll just do my attacks, I guess. And if you get hit...
Angormus! Oh, does he not know? Maybe he thought that that's the one animation that can actually deal damage, but it doesn't. If you stand close enough to the boss, it doesn't do damage to you. You don't have to hide behind the sword. That did not look right. You do tend to fall through the world when it comes to that fight, but still, I'm surprised.
Panic.
Did he
panic.
I don't think he
say,
knew.
He held it together. Good on him. He kept it together.
Yeah, but
despite that.
I'm so surprised. How can Angormus not know that he's still invulnerable there? He didn't need to move
He's
at all.
usually
Why was he
killing
moving?
the boss, mate. That's why he didn't get his perfect kill.
Oh, maybe. I mean, I've never seen that from Angormus. You know, typically these boss fights, they're all just so perfect and precise, and here you could see genuine panic.
I mean, that was definitely an unconventional situation to find yourself in there. As he falls off of the thing, thankfully not insta-dying, the warrior's got very sturdy shins and does not die from that fall. Climbed back up into the arena, as is, of course, 100% intended in the game code. That's an actual mechanic, not a bug or anything like that.
It's even funnier when you're playing SRS because they can't actually deal damage from the platform and they fly all the way down and start biting his knuckles. So
I'm gonna eat your toes. Very good. He gets that topaz ring from the 3-ring option there, and securing himself a nice jewelry. He's got that amulet lined up for some attributes later, but honestly, actually not that big a deal for the warrior, as they only need 5 int and 5 dex, and they're sorted, in which they just get on their passive skill tree at the start. So not a big deal for them there, but maybe some nice regal exalting later could result in a nice amulet with some extra damage and stuff. Jago moving into their boneyard duo Ekdab and Ikdab. What do we see for the demon form here? So at the moment, still using the same skill package for the most part. Not seeing any bone storms, but oof, man, the damage is looking really good though.
Man, the perfect positioning for a perfect strike when it comes to this, the way that the bosses are standing, but obviously not an ability we're going to be seeing here, but a significant amount of damage. I mean,
bombs. It's really good for the frost bombs.
Yeah.
And those were amazing frost bombs. Each one of them nailed both bosses, just huge damage. And Angormus moving into that Azarian fight there. And looks like a pretty fast, clean kill for them. They did get pushed around a little bit here, but just no damage taken ultimately at this point. And a nice perfect strike. He even positioned a little further away, knowing that the boss was kind of moving towards him there. He was like a little bit out of range until the boss stepped forwards. It was great.
Yeah, and it's especially cool because we saw that with Alex too, that these players know exactly the amount of damage that they're able to tank. So sometimes a lot of newer players to PoE racing are under the impression that not getting hit ever is the correct play always. But really, we're going to be seeing a lot of our players getting hit and tanking the perfect amount of damage just to be able to maximize their damage output. And yeah, we've seen it from Alex, we've seen it from Angormus now, and I'm sure that we're going to be seeing it further on as well, as Alex is heading over to his Titan fight, but struggling quite a lot with his layout.
Yeah, doing a little bit of a dead end there, but not even going for that checkpoint, realizing that it is the wrong way because the checkpoint is placed at that weird side encounter thing where you could walk up on the thing's head where there's nothing actually there yet.
Yeah,
At
it
some
feels
point, I
like
think
there
there's gonna
should be
an encounter there.
something.
Yeah, there's gonna be
Yeah.
something there later, but it's not implemented currently. So, but at the moment, it is of no use to the racers, just a scenic view. But Alex Pleblord moving into their Titan fight now. Let's see if we have any little accidental falls off of the arena, or maybe a nice clean fight for Alex. I feel like he's due a nice clean fight. And of course, just sitting right underneath that arm, Zalmarath tries to sweep that arm across the arena, but just it can't hit him. You're just right there in his armpit, and he's like, "How do I get you? I don't have that range of motion. I haven't done my warm-up stretches yet." Poor Zalmarath.
Technically lore accurate, you know.
Yeah,
Armor
Zalmarath
is weak in the armpit.
True. And
Schmack
Zalmarath
is armpit.
being middle-aged, and just not having that range of flexibility.
Oh, here we go. See, does Alex know? Alex is fully aware.
Yeah.
You can just stand still here.
You don't have to get behind that dagger. You do have to watch out for those ads, though. We have seen some people have some trouble with them.
Yeah, the ads are scary.
Yeah, you do be a little careful with those ones. So we do see them being a little careful and going back and picking up that exalted orb. Very nice. Getting themselves a possible shield upgrade as well. Sarge 2 searching the entire zone map to find out what's going on with their layout. They're a little bit unsure as to where they're going, it looks like. We do see some arrow key movement of the map there, which is not something
Sarge
to really
losing his mind. Although
the entrance to the buried shrines there.
Immediately shield charges into the checkpoint. Beautiful. No frustration whatsoever.
Just these little things when you're already like, stupid layout, and then you shield charge into a checkpoint, and you just know they're like, frustrated. A nice bell kill for Azarian on the monk here. Again, the giga damage for Sarge too.
Nice.
But just reeling, like just constant stun locks and staggering backwards. Actually comedic looking kill there. We might get to see ZIGGY's fight here coming up soon too. I don't know if we've seen any of the big Bone Storm channels, or indeed whether it becomes part of some of these strategies. Not necessarily all of them.
I was looking at him fighting Kabbalah before, and it looked very clean. I think some of our players are going to be pretty surprised about the output that we're going to be getting here, as this isn't really a skill that we saw last week, right? Did we end up seeing Bone Storm on our players?
I don't really recall seeing Bone Storm ever, honestly. If it was in there, it was maybe subtly, only used occasionally. But yeah, I have seen clips of people practicing and testing the Bone Storm, and we had people doing like some 2-shots and stuff. And then of course I saw on the racing Discord recently the 1-shot clip. So with the hourglass tech, using a unconventional support gem that adds a giant cooldown, not something you usually want to do on a main skill, but if you're just using it to 1-shot a boss and then using different skills for clearing, then well, if it's 1-shotting, it doesn't matter that it has an 11-second cooldown. If it 1-shots the boss, who cares? it'll be off cooldown by the time you get to the next boss. Oh, ZIGGY going very low there as all of their health perishes, but they do a quick top up and they're just fine. Nice little recovery
kind of
there.
Scary amount of energy shield going on for ZIGGY. Typically we would see
not much.
Yeah, typically we would see a lot more energy shield for our Demon Mama setups. Yeah, but there's 15. I mean, that's a lot less than 300.
Of course, it is gear dependent, and if you happen to find, low energy shield but like nice other gear, or you just don't have a good chest, or you're taking it off while you're running around, maybe we'll see. They do have a chest on, but it looks like it's an armor evasion piece or something. So not exactly giving them a lot of energy shield right now, which we have seen times like 1 health but living due to the energy shield. So let's see, is this going to be the 1-shot or
it might be.
Here we go.
45 stacks.
Come on. Not quite the one shot. We see multiple smaller channels, but the health bar appears just for a fraction of a second. Not quite the giant channel 1-shot. It takes pretty much optimum timing for the channel and the stacks there, but still the fastest kill I think we've seen.
Did he stun the boss before the health bar showed up? That the animation took so long for the health bar to even be visible.
Yeah, yeah, the health bar shows up with like the last 10% there. Pretty close, but
Yeah.
not. It is possible to do it without ever seeing that health bar, which just shook me. But nonetheless, can't complain about that. Pretty fast kill in the end. So yes, we're seeing all of a sudden witches come out with, hey, we have damage too. You didn't know. You thought we were just fast, but no, we have some damage too. It's not just the monks and the warriors putting out the single target.
see,
The witch also has it.
did Angormus make a mistake here? I see him laughing, and I believe he's spawning the additional mobs after clicking the statue that gives you permanent lightning resistance. I mean, those mobs give you a ton of XP, but they're kind of dangerous and sketchy. So I do believe that he clicked the statue, and you can see just the mayhem.
I think we're seeing some changes in strategy that might actually be intentional due to the Leap Slam tech now. It has a big AoE. It's really good for stuns. And compared to the Rolling Slam, which is really good in the early game, it is maybe letting players like Angormus just do more than they could before.
What a skip.
Yeah, I like that Leap Slam over the gap there. How good's Leap Slam? There's a reason we see every single class using it.
You do have to wait a little bit of time before those mobs come down from those pillars, but they do tend to give a lot of XP. I remember personally XPing in that zone previously when I spawned those mobs. So yeah, pretty big improvement, I think, overall too. Angormus' strategy, as we're about to fight one of the weirder bosses of Path of Exile too. This massive, colossal ZDPS machine. As I said, well, hold up, wait a minute. Torgul kind of did quite a significant amount of damage there.
There's
to
a
Angormus.
couple
Obviously,
little
Angormus
things.
knows exactly.
Yeah, there's a couple little things you can do that can be a little sketchy. And depending on how he jostles you with those arms, them having the hitboxes and being able to scoop you around and stuff like that, sometimes things can go in a little bit of an unexpected fashion. But most of the time, sitting behind him, perfect striking his spine, gets the job done. But the funny thing is always that slam doing like 20 damage. You know Mark's been watching these races and he's like, okay, Giga buff Zalmarath, okay, Giga buff Torgul the Defiler. I'm sure next season of races we're going to be seeing some some spicy buffs on some of these bosses. I know Mark likes his bosses to not be pushovers. So
I mean, when you think about it, as much as people were talking about how PoE 2 is such a difficult game, especially in these early stages, this might be, the best times that our players are ever going to be getting if, things start getting buffed up and everything becomes even more challenging. These might be some world records we're seeing right now that are never going to be beaten ever again.
We've occasionally had that sort of thing in Path of Exile 1, but usually the players outpace the devs. It's pretty hard for the devs to keep up. They keep trying to nerf things, make stuff harder for the players, but the races just keep getting more and more efficient. They figure out new stuff, they get more powerful, and just everybody as a community gets more powerful. And if you are interested in racing, even if you're a brand newbie, do get on that racing Discord, the PoE racing Discord. It is an awesome resource. People gladly share tech over there. That Act 2 zone tech that I was talking about, managing the levels. Angormus didn't come up with that. That was another racer who came up with that and shared that technology, that tech with
Alex.
Londo, I think it was. So
Alex not really killing any mobs. Sorry, Ziggy, to interrupt you. Alex not really killing any of the mobs. He's going for the full skipper and ends up running out of potions. Still doesn't refill his flasks, and he's having to respawn at the checkpoint.
Yeah. He's having a hard time getting the Bone Shatter to do those stuns. I didn't see if he was not doing his weapon swap correctly.
Oh, I think I know what he did. I think he Okay, I thought he pre-spawned the mobs, but no, that's not what happened because the mobs are still spawning. He bunched them up and then he wanted to go for the pops, but no.
He was using his one-hander to do his leap slams by accident, kind of missing that weapon swap and trying to get the stuns, but not going because you have to manually weapon swap. Because if you set it to be automatic, it'll keep changing. So if you don't fix that,
right, yeah,
and then use the manual weapon swaps, you can't use this tactic. But so Alex maybe not having as much practice with this new tech. It is something that the races have only started doing in the last couple of days, so not as well practiced as the previous strategies. But yeah, that leap slam tech is really powerful, but does require specific mechanical input. That is just not something you practice. It's hard to break muscle memory of weeks of practice all of a sudden just to change and take advantage of this new thing.
I gotta say, it didn't even cross my mind considering, the degree of practice that Alex puts in. So interesting stuff here as Torgul has been engaged now. This is one of those attacks that tends to do a lot of damage. A lot of players disrespecting that breath of fire, standing in it and perishing immediately. But not Alex. He knows exactly where to position himself, how much damage he can take. As he drops down very low, but not low enough to have that 1 minute penalty. I gotta say, a much more hectic fight though when it comes to the damage dealing. He's dodging a lot more than Angormus was, and maybe a lot of that has to do with the randomization of the pattern. Big pops,
Ooh, rare
some
ring.
desync. But he did well.
Yeah, I had a little bit of a tight positioning right at the end there with the explosions, just having to go right in Torgul's bony armpit. A bit more armpit tech going on. Lots of armpit tech in this race, I've noticed. A bit of a running theme there. But of course, we do see Angormus now moving through the last stages of Act 2, and the strategy from here is to get to the end of the Dreadnought, which we've had a reset. We've had a big reset. I didn't see what that was about. That's not usually the resets we see here. So maybe
it's a scary zone.
Yeah. It looks like he got like halfway through that zone or most of the way through that zone and was forced to do a checkpoint reset that he didn't want to do potentially. So there was actually a
Endless Dreadnought strikes again.
Strange. So usually the strategy here is to get to the end of the Dreadnought and there's a guaranteed champion pack at the end, which the players will then farm. I'm gonna hold judgment for a second because I want to see if he's like changed farming strategies or something. Like he might be farming white mobs now with the leap slam tech is what I'm thinking. So normally what they do is they at the end of the zone reset and farm this. There's like these 2 champion packs, the magic monsters that they'll kill
that's
repeatedly.
what we've seen.
But as I mentioned in a previous week, the seed affects what type of monsters can be champions. And if it's a bad type of monsters, then that might be less lucrative. But also this change to the leap slam tech does mean that they can farm white mobs more efficiently than they could before. So it might actually be more XP to just farm the white mobs. And I'm checking the ladder now just to see, because 28 is the goal, right? He wants to get level 28. And refreshing, he's at 26 here, but he still has to push his way through this zone. So we might not really even have to do any champion pack farming. He's like 26 and a half almost. It'd be interesting to see how this plays out. Just so much differences between like last week and this week. Even more so than the first week and second week for Angormus.
Yeah, very cool to see. Sarge taking down the Titan very cleanly. No hiccups there whatsoever. Alex Pleblord.
So this is the champion
up
pack
that blue pack
that is farming here, but it was a little bit of a spicy one. So what you'll see is Alex using the checkpoint reset to respawn those magic monsters there, and he's changing his gems just optimized for this farming right now and dealing with these. But that is not what you want champion pack wise. It's like spellcasters kind of hanging on the sides of the arena. You really want those runs that just kind of rush into the middle. So it looks like it's bugs and the spellcasters, which does look like a pretty garbage set of champion packs to get. No, I like the Stellar Amulet highlight. Those things are worth a lot of exalts.
Nice. Yeah, Alex still picking up a lot of superior items, so still getting ready for optimizing his gear to make that Act 3 run. But unfortunately, it does end up costing him quite a significant amount of time here. Really wonder how this blue pack is looking. Yeah, so much spread. This is not a very good blue pack to farm, I gotta say. Typically, these mobs are much more clunked up.
Yeah, spending more time clunked up might be the go. So there's 2 things that the warriors will be fishing for here. One is the level 28 mace to run through the rest of the campaign with. Trying to get a decent damage roll on that is helpful. But yeah, just having one of those sorted out. And the other one is the nice big life flask with the replenishing. And they'll be fishing the vendors and crafting to try and get that. Yeah, I've never really seen Angormus like killing so much in here like this. So I do think he's farming this way. Yeah, look, here's the checkpoint reset for white mobs, not the champion packs. Crazy. Just complete strategy change. We see Alex with the strategy that players have used in the previous weeks, but we can see him struggling with these bugs and the spellcasters. Like you see that they're like basically the same kind of packs. It's like a pool of packs that can spawn each time. Previous weeks, it's been like, these guys. And
Alex
getting them sometimes, but not every time. Sometimes it's those spellcasters, sometimes it's the bugs, and those things are annoying. Also, he's just having no luck with these mobs, right?
No, not at all. He's really struggling, getting stuck twice on a leap slam. Kind of resetting early there too. 4 mobs still remaining, but a pretty big pack overall. again, more casters, pretty spread out. Maybe Angormus is onto something here. I mean, I do remember it was Angormus that died last week to the blue mobs, right?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember if that was his little upset that he had at one point during farming. Might
Yeah,
well have
I
been.
believe so. So quite, maybe that's something that really made him reconsider whether or not that blue pack is safe enough to be farmed, but also if it's even optimal in the first place, as it was kind of a really standard thing to do now for many months, as our players have pretty much been
Alex,
doing this immediately.
well, Angormus goes low there, and Alex also struggling with a bunch of the elemental explosion jams, which is, of course, we have seen that kill people before. I think that might have been what got Angormus, some of the like elemental explosions. But again, just like the spellcasters with the bugs, just not exactly great. You kind of have to like get in and bring those all together up on that top awkward sections. You're not able to just rush in the center and kill. Some weeks we've seen them just like farming the regular guys in the middle, and it's just so clean. And this is much more awkward. So it's amazing how much has seemingly changed just based on, I think, this one swap to Leap Slam for Angormus, like using that as kind of your main damage dealing skill to trigger Bone Shatter has like completely changed his strategy in multiple ways.
Chat is saying that apparently Angormus was
yes,
not getting the blue mobs he wanted,
mate,
or that they weren't responding at all.
56 IPD, 6 to 12 flat fears, and added fire damage on his Forge Maul. He is set and ready. And it looks like he got the flask he wanted to. Last minute's crafting. He just hit 28, the exact level he needs. And Angormus is set, geared, and ready for Act 3, mate. He's going. Look at him. He's sucking it up. Look at that thing. Absolute behemoth. Mate, he gets it done right at that last bit too with the, and I'll tell you, I think the transmute, like the transmute was really bad, and then I think like the Regal nailed it, and then the Exalts just added even more damage. It was beautiful. Big weapon craft there. Right,
I still remember his weapon from last week.
Yeah,
the weapon from last week was further even more disgusting, but
somehow
as much as
even more. He gets
as much
he's
as
actually
some
still
players
flasks. Yeah, so he hasn't got his flask yet. He did have the lower
as much
level
as some players
flask.
are complaining about RNG when it comes to these races, it does seem like Angormus tends to get his weapons and his gear overall quite consistently. I know that he's one of those players that tends to say that it's a skill issue overall.
He
if
does,
you aren't getting the sort of RNG that you want to get. So pretty cool to see that, he's not just saying it, he's living it.
Yeah, I mean,
does
he's so
get this
consistently
weapon.
got when his times that he gets, like when he was doing sub 230s, he was getting them consistently. Now that he's doing sub 220s, he's getting them consistently. He said like the RNG factor is like so small actually, because you have like between like the vendor fishing and the crafting, the other tools that you have, and just kind of the bare minimums you actually need. The difference is not that great. So there's a lot of stuff that's struggling with the flaws can hurt, but you can still manage. Getting a better weapon
Clean
helps
first
a bit, but you can
phase.
still manage. Yeah, very nice.
On to the second one. For Warrior, these fights are not as spicy as we're going to be seeing from some of our Witch players and other weaker ascendancies, but still, Jamanra, definitely a fight that you want to be respecting. And the best way to do so as a Warrior is smacking him right in the face with that perfect strike. There you go.
Oh, yes.
Big stun.
No mechanics
Meaty.
whatsoever to speak of. Yep, some players we start to see like these storms appearing. He's double thumbs up. I love that we have the webcam now for the reactions. So good. I appreciate that. Thanks, Angormus. He's just with a perfect boss phase there, right into the next act, and now we get to see the sprint through Act 3. So the strategy is for the Warriors especially to get 28 and then basically just sprint through, killing almost nothing. But things might be changing a little bit now because we see another Exalt go down on the other weapon swap there. We see the Leap Slam Bone Shadow tech, and Angormus was saying that makes waterways much better instead of having to like trying to stay alive in there, which previously Wind Dancer was used before. They don't even do that anymore. Completely skipping that. No Spirit going through without Wind Dancer, presumably, because like you're not going to go do the other side quest in Act 3. It's going to take way too long. But now using Leap Slam and Bone Shadow, you might just be able to like actually kill your way through, which was kind of a pleb move before. That was like a that was a newbie thing to do, was to kill your way through the
Right.
waterways. But now it's come back around full circle. Maybe people are going to be killing everything in the waterways just with super efficient leaf slams.
I mean, it makes sense with the amount of time that you're saving from not having to do Freyhorn. Then I can see it for sure. Absolutely.
Oh, for sure. I always thought it was wild I did Freythorn, but it was, oh no, Alex has been slain. Gets the classic Dreadnought death of getting stuck on a bridge and just hit by projectiles from all angles, getting flanked and stabbed and speared and shot and just brutalized there. Poor Alex, but that's some time to do some gear management at least. He's sorting his inventory, he's doing some crafting. I see that he did get a Forge Mall going.
He just did that. I mean, he just spent a pretty significant amount of time in town. He's level 28 already. He was gambling for weapons. I don't think he got what he wanted. I think I saw a 38 IPD weapon, so not particularly great. And then he proceeds to immediately die. Definitely a tilter for Alex here.
He is level 28 too, so he's got that Forge Mall on. He's ready to go. So it must just hurt to be like, oh mate, I'm actually not that far behind Angormus. Like, I'm the same level. My gear is maybe a little bit worse. I'm playing catch up a little bit, but I'm actually only a zone behind. I can still catch him, and then to have that death there, that's definitely gonna make things a bit harder for him. And it looks like we have a clip here showcasing that. Yeah, you can see he's doing the crafting now right before he moves into this area. Going in, as you can say, skipping the packs at this point because he's ready to go. He doesn't need any more XP.
Wow.
But unfortunately, that costs him because maybe clearing that out might have got him through there in the end. But just stuck and killed so quickly on that bridge. It's happened to all of us in that zone, I feel. Brutal.
Unfortunately so. Guy that dies, making his progression through the Dreadnought. We will be keeping you guys updated on the race between the witches as well, but there is a number one overall prize here, so obviously paying as much attention to the warriors as possible. But this will allow Angormus to get quite significantly ahead, with mostly works now hitting their Torgul kill on what I remember to be the sorceress, right? He was the winner for sorceress last week.
That's right. And Angormus just getting the layout read so nicely on that zone there too. Like, I feel like trying to find Rambu there for that little side area is like, it's always at the top. It's always at the top. It was in the bottom, man, but he called it. He read that layout perfectly and went and got it. I'm like, oh, mate, I would have wasted so much time in that zone. I would have been there for 5 minutes looking for that side area. He just got it confidently. So he's practiced all those layouts and recognized it immediately. Alex Pleblord now finally getting to do his boss after having to wait that brutal, painful minute of furious clicking as the seconds count down. Moving into the Jarman Rao fight. First phase misses a perfect strike. It's not going to cost him too much, but still not what we want here.
Ad phase
actually does cost him. Oh no! I thought he was going to still get it in the
disaster.
Oh, that
everything going wrong for Alex.
No, those boss fights just those occasional little perfect strike misses multiple times now cost him cost him an ad phase or a bad cycle on the bosses. Just ruined. Oh no.
Oh man, I mean the tilt is piling up. I think he's typing /ladder. He's aware of his situation for the most part, I believe. But I mean, when you're in this situation, you're just thinking you're trying to do as much as you can, and sometimes it's not a matter of progression, but a matter of typing /ladder as the second phase begins for Alex Pleblord. His weapon, not nearly as good as Angormus's, but he's doing the best that he can here. And pretty precise gameplay. Nice stun there. Unfortunate movement from the tornado. Alex having to dodge away during that stun phase and immediately misses a perfect strike too. Yeah. It's just building up. Ziggy, a 31 shock happening right now on Jamanra, but Alex not able to get any damage in, and he gets that lightning storm spawn in exactly on top of the boss, which is exactly where you don't want it to go. Nonetheless, takes down the fight. And
I just want to clarify for the viewers. We've seen some comments about accuracy being the culprit here. No, perfect strike is mostly about the skill shots. These are actual physical misses most of the time. The boss is just positioned slightly. You can only turn kind of slowly. Oh, big. All right. Yes.
800. I would like to point something out because you cannot see the gear. You can't see the character. He has 800 and how much?
770
770 now.
770 shield.
So even though it looks kind of like the guy that dies is close to dying, this time around.
Oh yeah, I love to see this new skill for the so this is obviously without the hourglass because you do need multiple cycles. You can't one shot this boss, but that damage still is like really nice though. It's like not quite perfect strike level, but it's pretty high. And this is so much better than previous Switch kills of this fight, which had a lot more mechanics going on, I'll tell you. This is just like clean, not having to like run out of life flask. Previously, we've seen like run out of life flask, dropping with demon form, and then killing the boss. Now they're getting into one cycle with those bone storms. So that new skill usage there is proving very good, very good. But yeah, the perfect strikes are more about the skill shots, and there's a lot of things that can go wrong with that. Like if you're slightly too far away, or sometimes too close, if the boss is moving forwards towards you, if the boss is moving to the side, you can kind of drag your mouse around, but the turning circle on it is kind of slow. So if the boss is moving too quickly and you don't judge it, you actually have to lead the target a little bit sometimes. There's a lot of practice that goes into that, and the timings on top of that. A lot of these players know the exact timings they need. So like Angormus knows to pre-channel at a certain point so that it hits Cyclusion the moment he comes down right there. And they actually base those on like sound cues in game, often like the speech. A lot of bosses do a preamble. And not quite the perfect Cyclusion kill, but we don't see Angormus dying here. We do see frustratingly Cyclusion going for a frost breath there, and back into the air again immediately.
Oh my god.
Classic warrior Cyclusion experience. Just flying in the air constantly. The frost breath, he's learned from last time though. That did get him in week 1. That was the one that killed him before. But he's having the longest Cyclusion fight I think he's ever had here, apart from when he died. So, oh no, it leaves again. Look at him.
This is disastrous.
Actually just laughing he is at how ridiculous the Cyclusion fight is being for him. But the boss apologizes with an exalted orb for his chest armor, and now he moves into Jacani's Machinarium.
Yeah, and during this, we switched over from Sarge's stream to Donkatsu's, but right with that last frame that I was looking at, he actually dropped a jeweler orb. So maybe a little bit of time saved for Sarge as he was farming the blue pack, as he's not going to be having to do the fight that Alex is doing right now, trying to line up those bosses for a double tap with the perfect strike. Opts to not actually go for it in the end. It kills just one of them, but that allows him to open the chest and get his jeweler orb. Nicely done.
I didn't actually know that you could just kill one of them and get the jeweler's orb if they had to kill both.
To be honest, I thought so as well. But yeah, it turns out that you just needed to kill one.
I learned so many little things that I'm going to implement into my future campaign kills. Like the lever skip, of course.
Of course.
The lever skip.
I can't wait. I'm trembling in excitement thinking about it.
I hope production full screens for the lever skip.
Please.
I can't wait. Give me that juicy lever skip. We'll see if they know what I'm talking about. They've been doing good today. They've been doing good.
Production really on point.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, we see Angormus moving into Jacani's Machinarium. A pretty interesting zone here, as there's some nuanced tech that's honestly a little hard to follow in this next zone after this one, where the players will scoop around, grab a core, put it in the machine, use zone checkpoint resets to move the quest items around. I like Donkatsu's dramatic zoom in there. And use that to go for like a real quick clear of this second zone, which can take a really long time to search otherwise. So we'll see how clean Angormus's run on that is. Meanwhile, we see Sarge 2 doing his end of Dreadnought farming on the monk here. The Bell doing some work. Of course, taking a bit of time to set up, though.
We missed it, but did Angormus go for the monkey this time around? I wonder, maybe...
I didn't see a monkey this time. He doesn't always go for the monkey. I was so happy last week when he did go for the monkey. I don't think he did. Surely we would have noticed the monkey. I feel like I would have seen him.
Yeah, I mean, I was trying to pay attention, but I don't think I saw it. I don't think I saw it from Alex either. So
he was shook from the monkey fight last time. I asked him afterwards. I told him, I was like, "Thank you for going for the monkey." I was so happy when I saw that, and he's like, "Yeah, it was actually pretty scary." So maybe it's like, I don't actually need it this time, and I'm doing pretty well, and it actually did rattle me a little bit last time, so maybe no monkey. Fair enough. He doesn't want to risk that laptop this time around to a monkey. An unfortunate monkey accident could give Alex the time to catch up.
But yeah, consistency is key.
But yeah, I
do you
mean,
think?
but on the other hand, boo, give us a monkey fight. I love the monkey fight.
Hit him with the boo.
Get the rolling slams. I love it. Yeah, the monkey fight was thrilling last time. Previously, we've seen players just stay well away for good reason. This guy's scary. He's designed to like teach you a lesson about dodge rolling. Pretty much the entire intention of that is to kill you, so you learn the hard way. Hard life lessons.
Monkey was the first time I died in PoE too.
Oh damn, you did all right. You did all right. That's pretty good, honestly. No werewolves in the second zone.
I was rank 1. I was really feeling myself on SSF, and yeah, no, I got one tapped, and it was over just like that. It didn't feel particularly fair, I gotta say. So I have a lot of respect for our players going in for that particular fight, but yeah, not necessarily something you're going to be needing. You do get the 2 extra passive points, but 2 passive points in Act 1, that's a significant amount of power that you're getting for your character. But at this point, with our players being almost level 30, 2 extra passive points is just not as meaningful, especially when you're hitting those break points, and generally you're going to be needing levels to be able to equip gear more so than get an extra 5% more damage. Or
Angormus doing the checkpoint reset there. And he he tried to perfect strike the generator at one point there. I don't know what the deal is with that. Zhao killed the monkey. Oh, legend. Legend. I don't know if we have any clip for that. If anyone has a clip.
Wait, really?
Yeah, apparently Zhao killed the monkey. But they weren't on stream at the moment. We should get Zhao in there. I feel like they were one of the Angormus's biggest threats. Him and Alex Pleblord were the 2 people that Angormus is scared of, so we should definitely check in on them. Here they are now, moving through Act 3 as well. Angormus with the Zacodal, gigantic perfect strike. Oh my lord, mad high roll perfect strike right in the middle there, resulting in a very fast Zacodal kill. It's generally pretty quick, but that was even quicker. Very nice.
Very nicely done indeed. Picks up a helmet. Still looking for a little bit of gear, but I don't think any of this gear is actually going to be usable because of that level difference. But maybe he's fishing for just a little bit extra gear that's going to allow him to maybe potentially mitigate some deaths as he is heading into the most exciting zone, I think, overall of this race. I'm sure exciting for the viewers, not so much for the players as... Yeah, the Madeline Waterways, we've seen some players even be stuck in this zone for 15, 20 minutes sometimes, and we're going to be seeing some new tech here.
Yeah, so I wonder how much he swapped that 2-hander and is going for the kill here as well. He did kind of have to back off from that lever a bit more than maybe he wanted to, as he was like getting himself set up. But yeah, the idea is here now that this is not as clean as I hope to see.
I don't love this.
Shake out the nerves. Shake out the nerves. I don't think that's what that's supposed to look like. So we'll see here. Now he's got his 2-hander out, so he's prepping those bone shatters. But yeah, the idea is now that he's using the 1-hander when he wants to travel, swapping to that 2-hander to clear these packs on the lever so that he can get the clean lever kills. But this is not going according to plan. Looks like he's swapping some of his skills around. I think he's not quite set up as much as he'd like to be. I wonder what the deal is with that. But there we've seen the leap slam look right. That slow walk to the lever when you click it. If you're like a little further away and you click the lever, you do this like weird slow walk to it. The character doing like cinematic kind of just little strut up to the lever.
Yeah, and I think he needed that little walk, a little break, because you can see him going back to town, switching out some gear, recovering his flask. I mean, that did not look particularly under control. Quite a lot of stress showing on Angormus's face. Obviously, when you click this lever, you are incapable of doing anything but pulling that lever. But the mobs are still able to attack you. So if you get a particularly large zone like that first one, things get really sketchy really quick. And as much as he had the luxury of resetting the zone because he was at the start, he doesn't have this luxury here. This is going to be a costly reset at checkpoint.
Mate, what we're seeing here is like... Yeah, I think what we're seeing here is like a brand new strategy he's only been able to practice for a day or two, and it's not working for him here. Look at him, shaking his head, resetting at checkpoint. It's a big reset at checkpoint too. That is giving Guy That Dies a bit more time to catch up here. As he's heading through the Chimera wetlands, he's still got a bit more to do. So Angormus has a fair lead, but this is not the Matlin Waterways that he wanted. Yeah, so I was hoping to see that, like, that clean, you know, one-handed leap slam movement into the smooth swap. I did see it once there, that smooth swap to the two-hander with the stun, the instant bone shatter, clear the zone, hit the lever, swap back to the one-hander,
Another
keep
big
traveling.
back.
But it has so far looked a little shaky, hasn't it? Ooh. Yeah,
There's still a rare mob there, clears out the mobs, but the rare mob is chugging at his HP.
Oh, the leaping bearer bombs there. Oh my lord. He got it.
He's
He got
gonna
it.
die.
The quick repause after hitting the checkpoint saves him. Once again, we've seen players kind of figure that tech out. Previously, we had players logging out, but some of the other players realized that you can kind of just pause right after you click checkpoint to save yourself. ZIGGYD moving on to their Chimera fight now with the Bone Storms queued up and ready to go. Oh yeah, nice.
He has no energy shield. 17 energy shield on a demon mommy, so
crazy.
A pretty unusual approach, I gotta say, but I mean the damage output is significant.
It is gnarly. And if they know exactly what they're doing, then it's all fine. What do we have here? Whose clip is this? This is the skip over the roots. Yes. Yes. Not many people know that because it's like it doesn't look like you'd be able to leap slam over that, but yeah, you can do a leap slam skip there. You don't get to see it on every layout, but yeah, we missed that one. Nice skip. Once again,
sorry production, I'm disappointed. I thought it was going to be the monkey clip. I was getting excited.
I don't think we have a monkey clip, sadly.
Unfortunate stuff there, but still, Angormus making his way through. I mean, I gotta say, as much as I'm getting excited for, well, not Angormus's downfall, but maybe slowing down a little bit, giving Alex an opportunity to catch up. I don't know if Alex's waterways are going to be looking particularly different because he also went for this strategy. He does not have Wind Dancer.
Hey, I get wanting to see an underdog win, but to me, Angormus is like, you know, he's been around in the Path of Exile racing scene, but he is the underdog. This is him forming his legacy finally after years of kind of being an underdog, right? We have the backstory. So I got linked a picture of some YouTube history from Angormus 7 years ago. Getting a comment from racing legend Dead and Doom on one of his Path of Exile 1 race kills. So it was a Malachi speedrun, and then Doom just simply commented, "Not bad." And Angormus said, "Maybe I should do some more so I can get it better than a not bad next time." And here he is, about to, maybe if he can pull it off and get through Matlan Waterways, sweep 3 top double wins and a laptop in the first ever Path of Exile 2 race. I wonder what Dead and Doom would have to say at that level of improvement, right?
I think Dead and Doom is playing PUBG right now. So, I don't think he would be particularly impressed.
Hope he catches the VOD. Hope he catches the VOD. maybe upgraded to a decent. Really not bad.
Really not bad, no. Dead and Doom quite matured.
Love to see it. Yeah,
Angormus still in the waterways.
Cool to say that.
But looking better now, I gotta say. Still in the waterways, but looking a lot better. I was watching Guy That Dies also struggle with another lever, which isn't a great indicator as, he couldn't get past some of the levers even earlier.
Continue.
But, yeah, it's looking okay for Angormus here. He's getting close to the end.
I mean, even still, we saw Wind Dancer runs through here with Angormus in the past. Be faster, be cleaner, be smoother. So this is obviously like, this needs more refinement and practice. So who knows what we see next time. But still, that said, he didn't have to do Freythorn. He didn't have to kill King the Mist. So the time lost here is hopefully made up for in that. And I'm looking at his live split times, kind of a bit of a spoiler there, but it looks like his best time is 2 hours and 13 minutes, which the last one he told me about was just sub 220. So 2 hours and 13. Oh my lord.
I thought it was 218.
No, that's a 213 right there. His one finish was 228.37.
No, I even his stream title I believe was 218. So I wonder if
look
this
at the
is maybe
Doryani 213.
I'm seeing it. Maybe he removed this loading time. So I don't know.
Yeah. That could be without deaths as well, though, potentially, if he was doing practice runs. Here we go. Oh, the full screen. Good job, production. The pre-placement of the portal. No, the mob interrupting. Oh, still, the worst. Do it. Look, he's taking off the chest for the optimum town movement speed. The spam click. You can see the mouse twitching. You can see it twitching. Oh,
twitching, yeah.
nailed the lever
Oh,
skip. Beautiful. No map appearing. Straight into town. No chest on for that bonus. I think it's 7% movement speed. Oh, mate.
and
Just beautiful.
satisfaction too for Angormus. You
Optimizing
could
his
see it
runes
on his
now.
face. He loved it.
Oh yeah. Ever since GGG changed that runes, you can override them now. You're optimizing. You picked up another iron rune, so chucked it in that maze, getting rid of one of the other ones. Whew. Nice. Oh,
Alex.
feels so good.
Oh, interesting strategy from Alex. He's not just using the reset at checkpoint to potentially see the item immediately. He's also using it to reposition himself to the other area where he can potentially see the item.
Speaking of repositioning, they're having to do a little bit of repositioning to jump up that ledge, taking a couple of attempts.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does get that. He does get that call. I like the idea of if you have both checkpoints, just being able to flip between the two to like kind of double the speed at which you generate that without a load screen.
Mm-hmm. And he saw the other item too. I believe he already had the first
He's
one.
done,
Okay,
yeah.
nice.
That's those ones done. The nice optimization of this zone. I was like, definitely a trick I'm going to use in future, so I don't have to explore that whole bloody zone.
Yep.
Big Bone Storm channel. Let's see. Guy that dies.
Only 12 stacks.
Yeah, not a lot of damage in the end there. Not the gigantic boost, but we do see the damage ramping. He's ramping.
The armor break.
Yeah, look at that extra damage. Well, yeah, looking chunky now. Now it's looking like perfect strike levels of damage almost. Not quite. Oh, there we go. Look at that big. Oh, look at that last one. Oh, it got so juicy at the end there. Ultimately, knew the fight was going to take a bit longer, so kind of had to like pace themselves over it. Meanwhile, Alex Plobo just getting bitten by a bunch of snakes again. Just bam, 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 punched with those snakes there.
Ooh, extending too close to the boss. Blows up immediately. A huge misplay on a mechanic that otherwise is considered quite simple.
No, Alex. No. Oh, absolutely rattled by that. Typing in chat, I just give up. I think that might have been the final nail in the coffin of his confidence. Absolutely brutal. He's had a hard race, hasn't he? He's done so well, but had so many little situations. Real tough for Alex. He was one of the ones Alex was most scared about. That and them and ZIGGYD. But Alex Purple maybe just dropping too far behind now, and at least emotionally, even if he keeps going, which I hope he does, so at least emotionally, he's feeling like he's out and he's done. He can't catch up now. Just rattled.
It's so draining. You know, when things don't go your way, time and time again, you feel like RNG isn't on your side. Eventually, it catches up with you mentally, and you make a mistake that you wouldn't make in another situation, and that's the final nail in the Alex Pleblord coffin. Potentially, I mean, you know, maybe he's one of those that says that he's giving up, but he's not, as Angormus is now fighting the Queen of Filth.
Oh, that was a nice little dodge on the explosions there. Just kind of managing that damage into the stun. Very good, very good.
Clean so far, but there's a vulnerability circle right there.
Expires at the exact right time.
Clean kills.
Yeah, that was beautiful. Very nicely done.
Yeah. You've seen other players struggle with this boss a lot.
Yeah, for sure. She can be a bit dangerous. What do we have here? This is the death.
Oh no. Yeah.
He ate like 3
I saw it live
back of these like snake punches. And then
oh goodness.
He was so confident about the position.
It was a millimeter.
Slightly off. It was just slightly off. That's what you want to do. You want to be right on that triangle, but you just needed one more step. But I can see why that's kind of like having him a little bit shook feeling, right? Like a little bit emotionally drained after that. Just because like you just feel like, oh, so stupid. Why didn't I just take one extra step? Just for safety, you know. I thought I was perfect. Oh,
Sarge, respecting the Chimera, dodging the breath attack, immediately dropping the bells, gets a big freeze, and Chimera will leave. A pretty
bye. See ya.
Pretty frustrating boss so far for our players, I gotta say.
Yeah, no one's had a clean Chimera kill this time around. No one so far. I mean, this is the good kind of not optimal, but what's the second place of optimal? Suboptimal. That's the cleanest suboptimal you can hope for, I guess.
The second, I don't think suboptimal is that the second place?
Yeah, well, I mean, there's optimal and then there's suboptimal, right? And optimal was ZIGGYD's placement for that explosion just now, followed by some immense bone storm damage for the kill. Very nice. Now we have a very tricky fight for the warriors because this boss, Kedzuli, likes to dash around. But if you're a god of perfect strikes, you can still land them anyway. Let's see. Angormus did actually have to cancel one there, but didn't commit to it, which is better. Let's see how Angormus goes. Can we avoid a bullet hell? Can we get perfect kills here? Pretty good so far. Nearly optimal.
Not going to be enough to kill in this stun, or will it?
Yeah, nice. No dodges from the boss. Only one kind of like cancelled perfect strike and one little misfire at the end there. But otherwise, nearly perfect. No bullet phase, no dodging, no big missed perfect strikes, which we see all too often. Pretty clean. And it's such a big difference too for that boss. Like if you miss and it goes into the dodging and then you miss like several perfect strikes and then a bullet hells, you're like 30 seconds, 40 seconds behind at that point. Almost suboptimal.
Alex is
just
still
slightly
going
above suboptimal.
This is Ziggy questioning my so fun English every day. Thank you very much, Ziggy. Alex going through the waterways. He's still going, and I gotta say his waterways have been clean so far, much cleaner than Angormus's. He might potentially save himself a lot of time here. I jinxed him to hell. He's getting stuck repeatedly.
Oof. You want to cut the corners, but at the same time, you don't want to get stuck just on those corners. That slight mispositioning, but cleaning up the mobs there pretty nicely, trying to group them back up for the finish. Oh, he's getting stuck on the dodge rolls. No, dodge rolling in place. Oh, it's all of our Path of Exile day one all over again. Dodge rolling in place. He's got to clear it up. Okay, yeah, did fall apart a little bit there, but
and the slowest of walks.
Slow walk. You got to run to the lever and then click it. Yeah. RP walk, yes. Yes, RP walking to the lever there. Which you don't want to do. That one right there is how you do it. You roll up onto the lever and then click it. So your character doesn't do that. RP walk the whole way through. Let's see Angormus's Utsul highway travel. I always get a little bit excited.
The guy just died?
Highway.
He did.
The guy that has died in the Mountain Waterways. We might see a clip of that a little bit later. But Angormus actually had a perfect run through the highways there. Beautiful movement. And is now getting ready for the Viper fight, which is a big one. Raiz, you know all about this one. Tell players about the Viper fight, how much of a struggle it can be.
Listen, I think we got to wait for another player because I'm fully anticipating that Angormus here is just going to go for that double perfect strike and it's all over.
Mate,
but this is a fight that has a little bit of RNG that you can, for the most part, control. But it's going to entirely depend on what Angormus can do. He can definitely die in this fight too. So there is a fair amount of min-maxing, dodges the initial attack, goes for the perfect strike follow-up.
She combos and pushes him out of the way with the knockback movement there, just causing misfire on the perfect strike.
Oh, nice stun.
Very nicely though. Gets a pretty perfect stun, and he has to go into this one phase. So he can actually hit it on this one, can't he? But
no,
not this one. There's the other. There's one floating phase where he can.
Ooh, a little bit of management during the fight.
After the fight, I love it. Mid-fight, it's like, I might as well sort my gems now. That was still really good, though. Clean. That was really good.
I mean, even when he was getting knocked around, he was still charging up the perfect strike, so he actually got that big hit in. And yeah, he stuns her out of the floating phase, which is a little bit tricky because obviously you're trying to maximize damage. And during the floating phase, you can still do damage. But by knocking her down, it enables her to start the other floating phase in which she is invulnerable when you're getting poked at by those little ads there. So not the perfect fight, but still extremely good for Angormus. I'm sure he's very happy with it.
Witch.
Oh,
so that was the
no! And he knew it was coming too. Really questioned whether he should
get the repause. Yeah. I don't know if it was so fast after he clicked the checkpoint that the repause was like, might not have even got it in time.
I don't even know if he was. Did he click it? I was thinking that maybe he thought that he's going to survive, and then he didn't. But
yeah, I don't know. In that situation, there's like multiple ways you can go. You try and go for the quick pause and try and dodge it, or you go for like you don't do any reroll. What is this clip?
Hello, production.
Clip. Oh no, this is the suffering
clip.
G? The suffering clip. It looks like we did have an upset there in the waterways. We cut to a clip of someone just being dead. Just their body lying on the floor. Oh no. It's the previous weeks all over again, zooming on the players as they suffer.
Alex is yelling no mana, but Alex, you've got no flash, no HP. Gets to the checkpoint immediately, goes for the swap to despawn those mobs, respecting his foes, respecting his enemies. Something that Angormus is not looking to do, as he is heading over to the final boss, Doryani. Very
Oh,
close
yeah.
now to the finish line at only 2 hours and 11 minutes, Ziggy.
Oh, so fast. I cannot believe how fast these races have gotten over these races. They have embodied the spirit of Kill Monster Fast. And I'll tell you what, you love to see it. So far, a clean run through the Black Chambers. He has to be careful of the doorways. They are kind of there's a little bit of opportunity here for upset. Some of these mobs can be a little scary if you get stuck on one of those doors. But his leap slams, even cutting the corners aggressively, have been really clean. Kind of did shield charge into a wall a little bit there, but waiting for the door to open safely off to the side, maybe even planned. And here he goes, halfway through the Black Chambers. I'm not falling for it again. It got me last time, where I was like, he's at the end. Oh, wait, no, halfway. There's a whole second section to this area. But so far, very clean navigation through here. And some nice little corner cutting, bridge cutting there as well. Oh, no! He's kind of trying to use the angles there to get around those packs comfortably. Does the quick reset at checkpoint so no mobs following him in. And moves in to his Doryani kill. This is Angormus's moment. This is the creation of his legacy after being a Path of Exile 1 player quite young back in the day, now maturing into a fine lad and starting his Path of Exile 2 racing career off with an absolute bang. Angormus positioned to do exactly what he set out to do and what he confidently proclaimed right from the beginning. Oh, he's eating a slam. Not that. No, it is sweeping all three races. Number one warrior, number one overall in all of them. 3 demigods lined up next to next that he can view on his new laptop at the end of this kill. He does get the lasers. He's never really been able to skip those lasers. His nemesis. It can be done. We've seen it done, but I don't think for Angormus. He has to wait now. Wait for the laser phase to finish before he can move into the second phase of the Doryani kill here. But we know Angormus is confident with Doryani. We know he's not going to die to a butt laser. Unless.
Yeah. Unless.
Just hedging my insurance on the... He's keeping this Stellar Amulet for selling later because they're worth, like, I don't know, a divine or something now. So
I'm sure.
Or he's going to slam it maybe at the end of his race. He's going to go grab a chance orb and slam it.
Yeah, you can already see a smile on his face. Like you said, walking that dead and doom path of starting very young and maturing over time, learning a lot. And we can see how...
Was that a miss? Angormus.
It was.
Oh, was that another miss? Right under the armpit? He's okay.
That one actually might have been an accuracy one.
That one might have been. Yeah. I think that's like technically the odds are very low, but mate, look at him go. Look at him go. I can't wait to see his reaction. He's got to be pretty happy with his efforts over the past 3 weeks, winning the first race with a time of like 2.5 hours.
Oh, invulnerability face.
He's just drawing it out. He's just playing up for the crowd, you know, juggling the ball a little bit, doing a little bit of a victory lap before he finishes it. He knows he's got time, and he does, and he finishes it at 2:15, his best official race time so far, and only just a little bit above his best time ever, it seems, and probably like world record time. His previous one certainly would be. 2 hours, 15 minutes, and 4 seconds. A huge congratulations to Angormus for just an absolutely unhinged level of skill, confidence, and prowess displayed over the course of these 3 races. Well done, mate. Love to see it.
Especially impressive too, because we were looking at a lot of these personal bests, but you guys have to keep in mind that there is that 1-minute penalty if you die, so you can't take those risks as Alice is dropping low. But then also, Angormus had a really early death that he really had to collect himself and recover from mentally. That will definitely throw you off. Sometimes you can feel like you know, in this one final race, like things are just working against you, and if that happens really early on, it can really throw you off for the rest of the race, but it doesn't happen here.
He looks pretty happy. I love to see it. I love the face cam to see his reactions there, and well deserved. Like, he started speedrunning when Path of Exile 2 came out long before any races were announced. Most of the races, they were like, you know, they've got some racing history. Most of these people do. But, you know, he just, like, for the love of the game, he's like, I want to do some PoE2 speedrunning. I don't know if there's going to be any race events. No one knew. I didn't know. until GGG reached out about it. And so he was ready to go. And it shows, man. He's got it. But what a way to found a legacy. That's the creation of his Path of Exile 2 racing story. And, mate, what a way to begin. Nonetheless, we still have a race to finish here. There's still many other races to get their top classes. And ZIGGYD is certainly positioned to take the next number 2 overall, number 1, which, if they can get through the cursed Matlin waterways.
I mean, Guy That Dies is really close by. Again, these players are, for the most part, looking the most ahead. Obviously, we've got Alex, but unfortunately, Alex will not be able to claim the number 1 overall, as Angormus has already done so. But also, you will not be able to claim the Warrior. So right now, I think the biggest competition is for rank 1 Monk, which Sarge is firmly in the lead for. I don't think there is another player who is level 29, so maybe they are close by, but it's mostly between ZIGGYD and the Guy That Dies, who has somehow come out triumphantly ahead.
Our Monk Sarge 2 just getting destroyed in the waterways. Even on week 3, the Matlin waterways proves to be an absolute bloodbath.
Where is it? Where's the Alka LFG? Hello? What's he doing? He must be lagging. Something's wrong.
He's furiously pressing his macro, but it's not working. Oh, what's going on? I can't continue like this.
I would give up.
A bit of an upset there. So many deaths in the Matlin waterways. Even Angormus this week struggling with Matlin waterways. It proves to be an absolute bloodbath of a zone. And, man, getting through that cleanly is always impressive. When someone just gets through cleanly, no resets, it's amazing. It just doesn't happen, though. Here we go with ZIGGYD prepping. That portal's a little off to the side, but I think it'll be okay. I think it's within click range. Let's see. The spam click. Thank you, production, for the full screen. Very nice. Oh, it wasn't perfect. There was
I think
frame.
This is NA loading times difference, I think. I don't think I've seen...
Maybe.
Because you do get, if you are European or, well, if you're not from NA, you are going to be getting those slightly longer loading screens, or preloading screens, I should say. So sometimes you're going to be seeing the map, but still quite nice.
The big respec tech for ZIGGYD to finish out the race, it looks like. Moving over to a, is it a pure bone storm setup there? Or swapping out of, look like some chaos nodes. Interesting respec. Just, we'll see kind of like how their strategy changes for these last boss fights here.
Right, possibly so.
Going a bit more survivability or something as well there. I'm not sure what some of those nodes were, maybe physical damage.
Interesting stuff also from Donkatsu, our ranger player here. A quite different approach than we've seen last time he was on stream. Now using the poison arrow to get through the waterways, and quite a lot of respectable respect towards the mobs as well, as he's killing just about everything. Dropping quite low, though.
See where Fidus is as well, because the race for the Rangers has been between Donkatsu and Fidus. So Donkatsu is likely in the lead, but I'm going to do a little bit of a ladder check and maybe see if I can find out if...
Sarge is looking pretty likely to win the Monk. So maybe we can watch Donkatsu and Fifus.
Fifus, yeah. Sorry, Fifus, not Fidus.
Here we go.
Who's Fidus? Sorry, Fifus. Fifus, our other ranger here, both of them in Matlin waterways. It looks like Fifus just starting. So Donkatsu just being about a zone ahead. So last week we had Fifus as winning after early kind of upsets for Donkatsu in Act 2. And we all kind of wrote him off. We were like, oh, he's 20 minutes behind. There's no way he catches up. So we watched Fifus taking on Doryani, only for Donkatsu to beat him by a minute in the end, and we missed it. It was brutal.
They are in the ZIGGYD and the Guy That Dies are in the exact same spot.
Yeah,
I mean, they are.
I love
so
it.
Neck and neck.
We have one Monk kind of running a little bit by themselves. I don't know how strong their competition is right now. We have to check in on that later, get some reports from the background. But we have two very close races here. The Rangers on the left and the Witches on the right. Who is going to be able to win? We actually have two sets of rivalry here too, with ZIGGYD and Guy That Dies, and Fifus and Donkatsu having pretty good rivalries over the previous weeks. There's been some back and forth there with Fifus and Donkatsu trading, I believe, wins week 1 and 2, and ZIGGYD and Guy That Dies maybe doing the same. And they had that first neck and neck finish as well in one of the previous races
Yeah.
where they finished the exact same second with Guy That Dies winning due to XP, it seems. So there's some rivalries here. I don't know. We can project a little bit, but I feel it. I feel it. It's intense.
I mean, I'm sure they're feeling it more than we are. Come on. I mean, at this point,
Precious
they're
on.
very familiar with each other. They've been studying each other's replays. They're looking for every little bit of an edge that they can find here. And I mean, they are really just so neck and neck. I'm trying to pay exact attention to where they are in terms of the layout. And I do believe that Joji is a little bit further ahead, but
Oh, Donkatsu! Oh, I missed it. I was checking the
Donkatsu
ladder.
dies.
He went down in the Madland waterways once again.
Good.
Classic death.
That's going to give Fifus
It's closer.
time to catch up. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's even closer now.
Yes,
I
good.
like
That's
it.
right.
Sorry to Donkatsu, but I like that.
I have a hard time just choosing who to cheer for between these players. As a caster, we should be unbiased, but I'm so not unbiased. But actually, I don't know. I kind of like my heart goes for both Fifus and Donkatsu here. They're both great races.
Reset the
and they
rules,
both, like
Ziggy.
really want it.
We don't have to be unbiased if we don't want to. Listen, I'm
Yeah,
rooting
but
for the closest finish.
I am 100% on board with you on that one. So Donkatsu's death, beautiful here. It brings them closer together. Fifus with a little reset. Not sure if that was a
slightly
skip
ahead.
reset or a zone layout reset. That might be the skip. Oh yeah. Oh, he didn't. What, did he forget the lever? He puts his mouse over it. So he reset at the checkpoint there. Just there's a skip you can do where you leap off the bridge to save a bunch of time. But I don't think he pushed the lever or he left too early. Oh no.
Wait, did Joji get the kill or did he reset? Oh no, I was looking away because of the lever, Ziggy. You baited me with the lever. There's an extremely close fight happening right now. I think Joji got it, and Guy That Dies too.
Yeah, they both got it.
Okay.
Only a few seconds difference between them as Junkett goes into the next zone and Guy That Dies just trailing very briefly behind as he waypoints into town. So only 10, 15 seconds between them right now. Fifus and Donkatsu also looking fairly close together. Fifus was kind of catching up. Missed a lever, very unfortunately, having to clear out a big rep, like a pack of rares. Yeah, it's like multiple rares there. It's like 2 rares, maybe 3. Gets a Regal Orb, probably doesn't need it at this point. Of course, the gearing for the Ranger is big. We have seen both of our Rangers swap to the Gas Cloud tech. Previously, it was Lightning Rod, which we saw does a lot of FPS and DPS. We saw some mercenary action using Lightning Rod. But the Rangers have firmly swapped over to Gas Cloud now with Lightning Rod just for shocks at this point.
I gotta say, I'm also pretty surprised about something that I haven't noticed until now when it comes to Donkatsu's gameplay. He is not using the map overlay. He's only using the mini map, which is pretty challenging. I mean, a lot of players racing tend to even disable the top right map. That was something that you could benefit from before because you were able to see objectives earlier. But most players were using the map overlay, but not Donkatsu. I really never see him enable it. Pretty
As a
interesting
viewer,
stuff.
I appreciate that because
it
is my pet peeve when streamers always have the map overlay up. They're like fighting Shaper or some Uber boss or something, and they have the map overlay up.
That's me.
Rise, I hate it. Stop.
Sometimes I'll think about it and I'll disable it, but yeah, you just don't notice it. It's second nature.
Why do you leave it up? It kills me every time. My biggest streamer pet peeve. Let's see how Juggett's fight goes here. And a big prep on the Bone Storm, but not many stacks yet. But that damage is going to ramp throughout the course of this fight. It's a bit easier to land those hits on this boss.
But look at that map overlay, though.
No,
Ziggy,
no,
look at it. Look at it. You can't.
Now.
You're breathing manually now.
No.
Your arm is itchy, Ziggy. And you just realized.
What are you doing to me? Please, I just want to watch the race. Rude. That was a pretty clean kill, though. He was forced to dodge one of the channel barrages, but does manage to get a somewhat clean
Look
kill.
at this one.
No, another one. Stop. They can't. They're all doing it now. I can't unsee it. Oh, I was blissfully ignorant there. Damage is ramping a little quicker for Guy That Dies here, but we'll see how his fight goes. He's got plenty of fast charges. He's managing that health pretty optimally, using that fast right at the last moment. He's got, of course, the gigantic energy shield buffer of 770 here for these boss fights, just to make them super safe. So he's not at all worried there. You can take nothing can deal that amount of damage to him. Guy That Dies will not die, barring any like massive series of mistakes. So he's got a safer set of kills than ZIGGYD has, which I don't know. They're like, what do they even have in terms of energy shield? They've had 17 pretty much the whole time. I don't know if their chest armor swap has
That's
anything.
crazy.
They're mostly running around without it for the movement speed.
Yeah, I gotta say that's incredibly impressive. I mean, typically you rely so heavily on those defenses from
Right?
your energy
Thanks,
shield chest
production.
piece. Here we go.
He's happened to.
This is it.
Oh, okay? Yeah, he's checking his gear, pre-placing the portal. Very nice. Let's see how it goes.
Oh my god, he's gonna be late. He's gonna be late. He's gonna be late. He's gonna be
What are
late.
you doing? What are you doing? He was so late. He was so
The mouse flick, but he flicked the mouse. It was still pretty good. Come on, the mouse flick was nice. This guy plays a lot of FPS.
that was more than a frame of map though. That was like 10
Mm,
frames of map right there. It hurts.
True.
It hurts. I love to see a good lever skip. That ain't it. Next time. But Fife is
It's close
taking any
though.
opportunity to manage his inventory though, as that has been a struggle for him. He's been a lot better this race though. He's definitely improved in that regard. Much cleaner inventory management. He didn't have that issue he had last week of like not having stats to keep his helmet equipped and like having to change like 5 pieces of gear like a puzzle.
Man, this looks so risky for ZIGGYD, but I mean, they're surviving. The energy shield is very small, but
Beautiful
sufficient enough
shield charge.
to survive as the players are approaching the Viper fight. I don't even know if we should be full screening, to be honest,
Probably on
because
full
it's getting
screen.
really close.
We're gonna have simultaneous boss
Double
fights.
Viper.
We've got 3 boss fights going on. We have to zoom out for this one. Donkatsu prepping all the gas clouds. Gets a little explosion off there. Nice bit of damage as the follow-ups start going down. Nice fast kill for Donkatsu so far. Let's see if he can keep it up smoothly while Fifus is trying to catch up, but losing some time leap slamming on a pillar. Not exactly what he wants. The boss is rolling around all over the arena. He's having to position to try and not stand on that vulnerability, deal with the ads, not get slammed, finish off the boss. Dodges the roll very nicely. Actually, just smooth reposition. Very good. Right as our Viper fights begin for both of them, it could not be closer for them.
Yep.
Simultaneous demon forms.
You might also think that the energy shield isn't as big of a deal because of the amount of chaos damage that this boss does, but surprisingly enough, the majority of the damage is physical. I believe only 25% of the damage on the majority of the attacks coming up from Viper are actually chaos. So we've got nice dodging from both of our players. Obviously, with them being ranged, they're able to deliver damage during this phase.
Guy that dies.
Lots of purple dodges.
So good. Does perfect positioning, just not like skipping a beat on the attacks while just cleanly repositioning for those purple circles. A lot of players would be focused on the defenses and trying to stay alive right there, but Guy That Dies was taking every opportunity to keep that DPS up, and his health bar is leading ZIGGYD now. I think he started a little bit behind too, so taking the advantage in this fight as ZIGGYD moves into the smaller, more compact arena. It's getting a little bit more difficult for him here. Another channeled phase for Guy That Dies Viper, but he
might finish this here.
Normally this would be terrifying. He can tank a hit though, I reckon. Pretty sure.
Yeah, I mean those purple explosions, I think those are primarily chaos, and as much as they're not gonna kill you immediately like in PoE 1, obviously he's got a little bit of HP. He is taking double damage, right? And with the reduction to HP, he should still be tankier than ZIGGYD, but ZIGGYD gets the damage lead.
Yeah, after an early lead for Guy That Dies, he lost a lot of time in that phase there. He's had to be a lot more careful. Overly much? I don't know, maybe worried about getting stunned or something and losing a channel possibly. So playing a little safer and losing a bit of time and coming out a good 20 seconds behind ZIGGYD, which is crazy given how close that fight was and the lead they had early there. Donkatsu got a very fast kill there on that boss and is ready to keep on moving on as Fifus takes down the Queen of Filth pretty cleanly from the looks of things. A bit more movement maybe than you want, so she's rolling all around the arena, drawing big triangles around the arena.
Fifus really fell behind though, I gotta say. I mean, they were pretty
close,
close to each other, yeah. But now there's pretty much an entire zone difference. He still has to get through the entirety of this next zone.
Oh, ZIGGYD, no! He gets stuck kind of near the wall, missed positions. Some of the very dangerous mobs there giving him several pokes. Of course, he's been running around with that 17 energy shields and only the 400 health.
Yeah, but for a guy that dies, he switches out, right? He doesn't have the energy shield for.
Well, he's got 550 health.
Getting
even
through
when
mobs. Yeah, but he's got a significantly larger focus on those defensive properties of his gear. And yeah, I mean, maybe Guy That Dies would have survived that just because he was paying more attention to his gear. Maybe there's a little bit of an RNG factor there too. I don't know if Guy That Dies knows that his opponent has in fact died. He is
That's where he died,
the
right
other
there.
guy dies.
It's the same zone misread. They both went into the same little dead end and kind of got that pack. Just like, look at this rounding up of the pack.
Yeah.
Oh, it was not even the dead end. It was like trying to get through the door, wasn't it? Oh, yeah. So we saw a Guy That Dies do like a big circle, pulling them away. Kind of like,
wait, what is happening right now, though? Is ZIGGYD okay? He's got the timer. Does he not need to click the?
I don't know if he knows. Has he missed the timer? I'm pretty sure a minute's passed. He might not know that you can kind of like be sitting there spam clicking. He might have thought he had to wait a minute. So
I think
loses a couple seconds there where he could have like been ready to go earlier.
Yeah, that was significant.
Yeah, apparently Dr. Dexter is doing well. So if production can kind of give it a check in of them, because apparently they might be at a similar position. And we can maybe see how they're going. It's a little tricky now with like these four players being so close together.
It's gonna be all witches. I think Fifus is leaving us.
We might have to.
I got it.
We'll have to keep an eye on Fifus in the background, maybe. See if he kind of catches up and closes the gap here. But Dr. Dexter, meanwhile, on the witch as well. So we actually have a three-way race between witches as a little bit of a surprise, because we haven't seen Dr. Dexter in the race yet, I don't believe. So in the background, they've been quietly chugging along. And actually, at about the same spot that Guy That Dies is at. Guy That Dies just had to do his own reset. With how close this is, he reset kind of just before the halfway point, and Dr. Dexter just crossed the halfway point. Unless something goes wrong. Ahead. Yeah, unless something goes wrong, Dr. Dexter is half a zone ahead almost.
I mean, so there is the laser. There is an invulnerability phase too. It's possible.
He's got massive health pool. He's got a fair bit of energy shield on now, so I don't know if he's doing a gear swap. It might just be what he's at.
Expects the fight with the reset before. The cursor looking a little bit shaky for Dr. Dexter, but an experienced Path of Exile 1 racer.
I wonder if he knows that he's in the lead right now. This is crazy.
I am uncertain.
I cannot believe how much Dr. Dexter has just quietly kind of chugged along in the background here to come up by surprise, overtaking both Shoutcast and Guy That Dies. It goes down to a mob pack that was so fast. He's only 460 health, proving a liability once again as he suffers 2 deaths in 2 zones. And that just puts him a little bit. Oh, he had such a good run, and he's had some incredible races. No, the misread on the zone, giving Dr. Dexter every opportunity that he needs to secure this win after just stealing the victory from out of their grasp. Shoutcast and Guy That Dies, both favorites here. Dr. Dexter, meanwhile, just coming up from crazy here. And he
didn't even reset at the checkpoint. He knows that he's just so close. There's a laser for Dr. Dexter. I think the same thing is going to be happening for Guy That Dies. Obviously, you're also able to preserve the stacks. Wait a minute. Is Dexter a witch? Where's the demon form? Does he...
Is he unascended?
No, it's on his bars. I think he doesn't realize that his demon form is not on. What am I looking at? What's happening?
Or he's going into its second phase, maybe? That might be the specific kind of like.
Yeah, but he's got no stacks now. Yeah, he enables it now, but there's no stacks. Was he thinking that he's not going to be able to do enough damage?
Yeah.
I mean, Guy That Dies removes his form too, so I think they are preserving their potions.
It's getting close. Yeah, I think that just for that second phase being like a little bit longer here, he gets a nice. Dr. Dexter gets a nice big channel there. Oh my. Dr. Dexter has it unless Guy That Dies can kind of pull out some big damage, and Dr. Dexter loses like a phase. Oh, not getting hit by the lasers is a good start. One mistake costs him this win here. He gets a nice big stun.
Dexter is out of mana. He was worried about running out of life flasks, but he's running out of mana flasks instead.
He's got one charge. It looks like it's a recovery based one, so he's got one more charge in there, which hopefully will be enough. With a couple more big hits, he does lose his demon form though, so it's going to be a slow end of kill. No, this definitely reminds me of earlier witch fights in the previous weeks where they just run out of flies, they run out of resources, and that last section of the fight takes so long. That's always the dangerous part too. It's getting
That's
so
not happening
close.
for Guy That Dies.
Guy That Dies is taking the lead. He's got the fast charge.
He's gonna do it here. If there's
out.
no invulnerability phase,
he has it.
He's gonna kill it.
He has it. He gets the win. How?
Oh!
He does it. Dr. Dexter had it in the bag.
The crucial demon form misplay.
Oh, it was so close. It was so close. Dr. Dexter
He was so concerned about his resources.
Oh no, and he just loses.
It ended up
in
costing
that
him
last
more.
section. Wow. Oh, I could not have called how this was going to go. He's in the immunity phase. He has to deal with the slam now, and this is how it happens. It just snowballs. That mistake costs you everything as that fight just draws on, and it's the hardest part of the fight.
He doesn't know.
And he's still out of charges, and he has to wait for the mana to come back. Oh, the expression.
Donkatsu dies! Donkatsu dies!
No.
Okay, the expression on Dr. Dexter's face, he's clueless. He doesn't know. He's lost.
Oh, Pfeiffer's dies.
We're
in the
swapping him out.
Well.
Where's Pfeiffer's?
It's chaos. I can't keep up. It's all
Where's
happening. Dr.
Pfeiffer's?
Dexter eating a laser. No, you can't die now. You can't die now. You fought so hard for this. Come on, at least take it. Take that second place. Come on,
Please.
one more. He's out of mana. He's got enough for one more. Is it enough? No, he needs more. He's got it. Don't eat that slam. He has no health left.
Okay, swapping him.
Oh my god, I can breathe.
Where's Pfeiffer's?
Dr. Dexter. Pfeiffer's died in the Viper fight. He died.
Where's Pfeiffer?
Oh no.
Oh, we switched out Pfeiffer's. Sorry, there's double Pfeiffer's. Production, I'm intervening. I'm sorry.
Ah no, production. Why must you focus on his suffering so? Lundberger is out. Lundberger is out. Oh my god.
He's done.
Well, okay. I need a moment to recover and sort through what we just witnessed. A three-way witch fight that was just so close with so much back and forth. I actually had no idea who was going to win that. We had Dr. Dexter come out of nowhere and steal the lead and go to the fight with like such a solid lead. And then only to lose it with resource mismanagement, not quite enough damage, going to that second, like that last part of the second phase and just falling behind a little bit, and actually losing the fight and just struggling to close it out there. We've seen it a lot on the witches. It's really tough to avoid that situation. If you can't get through that fight cleanly in that first like demon phase, or preserve your resources and manage them perfectly, those like last second life loss uses, it just all adds up. It's a really high skill cap play style. I thought Warrior was really high skill cap. I'm starting to think Witch is even higher due to the resource management aspect of it. There's a lot of tactics there that have to go into play. So he eats the double purple orbital bombardments.
Oh man.
The bloodbath continues.
Tries to do a little bit too much damage, but Donkatsu, our ranger contender, despite that death, I think his hands are cold. I've been seeing him shaking his hands and breathing on them furiously.
Yep. Nerves in the cold hands is the classic combo.
It's looking clean here, though. This is a good fight for him so far. A lot of damage coming out, and Pfeiffer's is nowhere near. This is our rank 1 ranger, potentially, that we are looking at, that just now died. A very emotional player, but a crowd favorite for many. How's it looking? A clean fight? 20% shock. He's building up that freeze.
Big explosion damage coming down now. I love the freeze tech from those, the barrage and the shock and all that. I love how diverse the skill package is for the range. They really use every little tool at their disposal all together. Shock, freeze, chill.
Butt razor.
Very good, very good. He did a good job of staying like right on top of the boss and spinning around. And big damage at the end here and just like confidently just hanging out in that lightning phase. I don't think we've even seen that attack very often. Gets the kill. Is absolutely stoked. He's finding out. I don't know if he knows he's won yet, but chat's going to tell him he's getting the GGs in the chat. Let's see.
He gets the 420.
The moment he realizes.
Oh wait, no, that's
he realizes. I think he's realizing. There we go. Thanking the audience for cheering him on. Congratulations to Donkatsu. Well fought. We see the emotions pouring out for him. I love a racer who really feels their wins and feels their losses.
Oh my goodness.
In
the meanwhile, there's been
fighting
4 more warriors finishing, including Alex, who ended up getting second.
Yes, we did have Angormus, of course, win. Alex in second. Whole New Society is third. Sizfu, which I'm unfamiliar with, Korean player finishing 4th warrior and 5th warrior Lundberger. And they all beat the Witches, actually, which is kind of crazy because I thought the Witches were a little closer, but they had so many like upsets and deaths.
Yeah.
Such a chaotic race. They actually have the potential to finish like with the same time as the warrior or even beat the warriors. Like Angormus was seriously under fire from the Witches, which is crazy to see that like the classes are so competitive with each other, but such a chaotic race. But nonetheless, 2 Infernalist finishes now with Guy That Dies and Dr. Dexter. Refreshing the ladder, see if anything else happened in the background there. We have had a Pathfinder, of course. Donkatsu get that Ranger win. Congratulations to them. Firefist trying to close out their run here, leaving us with just Mercenary and Sorceress as
mostly
our
works sorceress
classes. Yes, so mostly works is on the Sorceress. And I don't know who is our mercenary.
I think Midras is mercenary.
Okay, let's have a look. It can be hard to identify the mercenaries because they now typically use warrior skill packages almost entirely, cosplaying as warriors. So let me check the ladder and find out what our mercenary contenders are. Because I see Seo Minugi is a very high level mercenary, but I don't know about their current positioning. Meanwhile, Fifer's moving into their boss fight. Mostly working on that Viper. We do. Oh, that was like 3 explosions at the same time, mate.
How close?
Dead.
There's a lot of sorceress here. Okay, there's 3 sorceresses right next to each other with a 4th one not far behind. Okay, there's like 8 sorceresses, and then okay, hold on, let me count these. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 level 31 sorceresses. Ziggy. Who is winning?
I have no idea. I have no idea. I think we're only going to know after it happens for Sorceress, unfortunately. We're going to try and find
15?
out. We're going to maybe get production kind of scanning around, just checking in on some people to see kind of where everyone's at right now. But we know where Firefest is. Firefest is here trying to take 2nd place position on the Ranger as he moves into 2nd phase on the Doryani fight. We just had like 2 Viper upsets. Mostly works, which maybe was contending for a 1st place Sorceress, but it's a little hard to tell at this point. Looks like Terrence is still a fair ways behind in Doryani's Machinarium, so they have quite a few zones to go. So that does
too.
Suggest
He's Sorceress. He was, I believe, Mercenary in the first race, but he didn't like it, I guess.
Yeah, interesting. But it was like the swap between Mercenary and Sorceress is like a
yeah.
In which way do I want to struggle?
Oh, Fifus is cleaning up his Doryani fight, and Sarge still our potentially #1 monk, heading over to his with a pretty good time.
Monk is undecided. I forgot about the monk. Man, they are. I don't know how strong their competition is right now. I see another monk that's pretty high level, Stocking Psycho, but not sure about who else is maybe with them in terms of position. I think they have a pretty strong shot at taking that monk win here.
There are so many sorceresses. It's just all Sorg.
I think people are drawn to like the underdog class, right? Whoever's kind of like seen as the worst, you get a lot of people being like, yeah, now's my chance. Let's see if I can figure it out. Let's see if I can like be the one to bring it back to prominence, or, you know, at least capitalize maybe on a class that's not drawing the, you know, the top player. Because like you got to hand it to like Alex competing against the, you know, Angormus on Warrior is brave, right? That's tough.
Yeah, that's tough. And he was doing really well.
Firefest.
And odds were stacked up.
There he has it. Nicely done, mate. He gets the kill.
Works.
Donkatsu winning by a couple minutes in the end, which is a little bit more of a lead than he's had in some of the previous races. Still a really good run for the Firefest. Definitely improvements across the board for both of them. And Firefest's inventory management really like improved a ton this time as well. So I love to see the improvement. Both of them had such a close race for much of it, with just Donkatsu pulling ahead so much at the end there. Doryani's proving a little troublesome for Sarge here with a lot of movement, not really getting to take advantage of those bells very well. Gets a bit on that second one, but misses a few.
Not a particularly good weapon, I would imagine, for Sarge. But, I mean, as soon as the boss stops moving, the damage comes out.
It gets that freeze.
Not as much as we've seen before.
Yeah, we've seen some instant obliterations of Doryani. But it's tough to get the timing down, get those bells in the right spot, and then like not have the boss, stagger and run away or teleport or something like that. Laser phase. Keeping the damage up, but I'm pretty sure he's phase. You just have to kind of wait it out at this point.
Mm-hmm. Well, still, I mean, there's just so much movement going on right now, but Sarge gets it. I mean, I believe he knows that he's, from the looks of it, quite firmly in the lead. I don't think we've seen a particularly close race between him and any of the other monks. Nobody seems to be attempting to usurp his rank 1 monk title. And with that, Sarge is now able to deliver all that hurt with those bells. The sharpness settings is crazy for him.
I was helping Angormus set up his stream and specifically pointing out, I was like, mate, your sharpness is so high.
Yeah.
Like, so people just don't even. Oh,
Ooh,
the freeze!
Oh, what's happening?
Did it like do no damage? I think he didn't even take damage. It's like the animation was there, but he was frozen just before the damage started. It's like that little kind of like, devs often code this stuff in a way that like it's slightly biased towards the player so that you can get those like near misses where you feel a really exciting moment. So like I think the damage doesn't come in until just after the lights come on, which is kind of you don't normally see that, but the the freeze made us see that in action, which is quite cool.
Ziggy, I'm getting reports that Mercenary has finished. Magisk, in fact, will be the first Mercenary
with
our third race with a 2 hours, 45 minutes, and 45 seconds.
No, the slam! Oh my god! One shot by the slam. I don't know if his health was low there, but at 600 health, I deserve to lose. No, Sarge, come on. No, keep going, Sarge. You can do it. I think he still has a strong shot. I don't know. I don't think any other monks have finished. I think he still has a chance. Stuck in Psycho's a high level.
Still the favorite.
Mate, I think he's still the favorite, Sarge. Come on, dude. Don't have a tilt. Don't tilt. Hang in there, buddy. I'm going to scan around and see who else is streaming that we can check in on. We have someone else who just died. Unfortunately, it looks like Mydra is here. This is possibly a mercenary or a warrior. Can't tell.
I think a mercenary, and it's also on the Doryani fight. Unusual. Yeah. We really haven't seen a whole lot of Doryani deaths.
No, we haven't. Doryani is actually, like, compared to some of the other fights, a bit easier for the players. Like, mechanically very avoidable deaths, but nonetheless, things happen. As we just saw. I think that's maybe the first slam death we've seen. Oof, brutal. So, Sarge getting back in there, though. Taking a big breath, kind of realizing that, hey, I still got to try this. I still got it. There's still the demis on the line for me. I can do it. Don't tilt. Don't lose to emotion.
Sarge definitely emotional. Definitely an emotional player, but I mean, it doesn't necessarily make him play worse from what I've seen. So he'll get tilted, but he'll push through it. He's looking good right now for that first phase. Gets the laser, of course, despite the tremendous monk damage.
We do have one of our 82 sorceresses just finishing now in the background. I believe a non-streamer X-Ruse takes the sorceress win at level 31, 2 hours and 47 minutes and 19 seconds. Congratulations to X-Ruse. People say it's only the streamers who can win these races. Mate, a lot of these people weren't even streamers until they started racing, and a lot of these people who are winning in the background are not streaming. So we can't unfortunately see those, as there's no mandatory requirement for people to stream for this race. It just so happens a lot of people like to show us their point of view for these races because it's fun and we appreciate it. So thanks to everyone who did boot up streams for this, like ZIGGYD and stuff, who doesn't normally stream but specifically set it up so that we could watch them today. It was such a thrill to be able to see that. And congratulations to X-Ruse in the background for getting that win, and also Magisk for getting the mercenary. So it's just the monk left, which is crazy. That monk was beaten by a sorceress and merc. That's a first, I think.
Yeah, I don't think that this is necessarily Sarge's best race if we were to compare it to last week.
Yeah, I should have the notes on that one. Sarge had 237. This is significantly slower than Sarge's previous runs.
Right.
So I think he's had a lot of upsets this race, and yet is still the favorite to win potentially. But he's maybe a little tilted. Hopefully not. He gets a freeze on Doryani. The bells are down. He's doing the damage, but not quite the burst we usually get to see.
Oh, Invulnerability.
Yeah, invulnerability. There's the bells just sitting there, impotently. He's going to dodge the slam. He dodges the slam this time. Much better.
Oddly enough, that slam doesn't actually do damage, despite the visual and the whole big build up. I don't think it would have one
slam last time, I think, that got him.
Yeah.
Just a bit faster and scarier. The butt laser
my
plus
goodness,
the orbital.
laser, fire,
Yeah,
there's
it's all happening.
the
3
sentry
Doryani
shooting
kills.
down.
I love my Drizz's taking off the chest to run around to avoid the slam. The optimization there is very nice. He eats the slam.
He gets credit.
No, and he eats the lightning strike at the same time. The slam wasn't a problem, but the slam plus lightning strike was a bit much. He goes pretty low there. He's no life loss, no room for errors, but the perfect strike is going to see him through to the win. And
Nice.
wait. There it is. Good job, my Drizz. Gets his finish. Unfortunately, not able to take a demies as it has already been secured.
Second invulnerability for Sarge.
No, so unlucky. He's really drawing it out for our viewing pleasure. And this is the closing out of the race for us, as mostly works. Secures their sorcerer kill. Unfortunately, not able to take that damage, but still a very good effort as they finish at 252.04. And Sarge finishing up here with their monk fight. They do it. They get the freeze. The bells go down. The explosions happen. And let's refresh the ladder and find out if that's it. Did any monk sneak in the background while they were finishing? I'm furiously refreshing. It's timing me out. I'm clicking too much. Sorry, I'm DDoSing the server.
I think I'm not seeing anything new. I'm not seeing anything new.
Come on.
It's probably him.
I do think it is him. Let's come on, ladder update. Yes, come on.
You're supposed to be closing things out. We're on full screen.
All right. I think we can call it. Sarge is also going to get in. Maybe we'll see it here on Sarge's stream. But that does it for the final of this set of 3 Act 3 Doryani kill races. What a thrill it has been, and what a great start to Path of Exile 2 racing. Thank you, Riaz, for co-casting with me for these races, mate. It's been so much fun. What a race that was. Mate, that was like such an exciting one. What a good finish.
Yeah, I think initially a lot of people were pretty skeptical about these, but then I saw a lot of, especially top players, really feel like they missed out by not participating in the first race. So it's really cool that week after week we had more and more participants, and it got really crazy. I mean, those sorceress numbers blew my mind. 15 sorceresses before the finish line at level 31, meaning that they're all fairly close to each other, really.
Yep.
Really cool stuff to watch, and I can't wait to see the evolution of Path of Exile 2 racing for sure. As something that initially people were thinking there's a lot of RNG and blah blah blah, but really more and more I'm thinking skill issue, right? The players who put in the work, like
100%.
Angormus, were able to be incredibly consistent in these runs.
Yeah.
We've got classes like the Witch that are very close to being rank 1 that don't nearly have as much RNG because of the fact that they don't use a weapon. So really cool to see that the initial maybe a little bit negativity around PoE 2 racing compared to PoE 1 was not well founded.
I'm happy to see that like the fears of like RNG being a big issue there were ultimately not a problem for this form of racing. Like and it'll probably change and evolve, and maybe longer races, things like that might be more of a factor. But in this Act 3 race here, people were able to be so consistent and use tools like vendor fishing and the crafting the runes and things like that to be able to like get enough to do these things really well. So super cool to see just how competitive it was, and ultimately we saw the winner 3 times over was due to skill and practice. Someone who had been practicing for all 3 months. Long before they were announced, it paid dividends for them. So congratulations to Angormus on the big sweep, the big win, the founding of a legacy for the beginning of Path of Exile 2 racing and PoE 2 esports. And who knows if we have an ExileCon down the line and if we'll see them on stage, taking an ExileCon or something like that. Ooh, when we have all the acts out. Oh, I'm excited to see how racing evolves too, as they like, are they adding Act 4 next? Maybe we'll find out soon. And does that mean we have an Act 4 set of races a little bit down the line? That's going to be very exciting.
Ziggy with the insider info. I don't know anything.
I don't know anything yet. I swear. I don't know anything yet. Hopefully find out some cool stuff soon. But yeah.
GGG doesn't tell me anything. I always leak. So listen, if anything, it's on Ziggy.
It's going to evolve as players test new things, as GGG releases new stuff, makes new updates, new content, new classes, new skills. It's such an exciting, like, burst of new things to explore in this like racing scene. And hopefully some of you folks who haven't seen racing before got to see, some like insanely skilled gameplay, learn some tips for your own leveling, some little tricks and cool things like that. It can be really fun to participate, even if you're, even if you don't think you have a chance of winning, because let's face it, only a certain number of people can win ultimately, but it can be a lot of fun to practice speedrunning, to, participate, beat your own times, get better and better, jump in that PoE community, share knowledge with people. Maybe you learn something cool you share that goes into someone else's strategy who then gets a world record. There's a lot of fun to be had there. So definitely get involved, or if nothing else, cheer on your favorite racers as they do their practice runs. Cheer them on during these races. And I look forward to seeing what the next events are, whether we have some community organized stuff soon or some official GGG races again in the near future. But thanks you all for watching and making this such a fun experience to cast and to watch. And that's it for now. I'm ZIGGYD, joined by RaizQT, and thank you very much for watching. Bye now, folks.